Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Indeed, very good morning to you wherever you are. This is Radio Generation 88.8 in Nairobi, 90.7 in Mombasa, 89.5 in Garissa, and then of course internationally recognized on rgk.co.ke.
Yes, at Radio Gen KE. That is on our social media platforms. That is on X platform, on Instagram, on TikTok,
Right.
Napale pia YouTube. You get us at Radio Gen KE. Remember, on Facebook also we are live at Radio Generation Kenya. There you're gonna find us. This is the People's Breakfast.
Yes, indeed it is. And every single morning we like giving you not only good vibes but of course inspiration.
Yes.
Looking at also what is trending in terms of politics, the news that made headlines in the last couple of hours. We're going to be giving you that in a few minutes. But every single morning also Patricia likes giving us something that we'd like to use to motivate you before we get into the train that takes us to another part of the world where we get some even more inspiration. So Patricia, today what are we celebrating?
Well, today is International Tiger Day.
Allah? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What is a tiger in Swahili?
Tiger kwa Kiswahili?
Simba marara.
No.
Simba marara.
It can't be.
Simba marara.
Okay.
Sikini nakwambia.
Let us just go with yours.
Kuna simba? Kuna simba marara. Ama simba marara kwako ni nini? Mswahili huyu wa wapi? Wewe nimeanza kukushuku. Wewe kweli na Mombasa wewe?
Wewe usijali.
Anyway, so
that's why leo umenipata leo. Ni duma ama anaitwa nani? Duma nikidhani could be antelope. I don't know. I could be not antelope. This very fast animal. Either cheetah or leopard. I don't know. But anyway, they are just in the same class anyway.
Yeah. What's up with the tiger today?
Yeah, today is International Tiger Day. Yeah, also known as a Global Tiger Day.
Okay.
Yes, and of course it's dedicated to raising awareness about tiger conservation and the need to protect these endangered big cats and their habitats.
All right.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Yeah. And actually, this is what a report says about these species or tigers, that so far in the entire world, we have 3,900 of them left.
All right, good stuff. I actually learned something about tigers just the other day. You know, tigers are orange.
Yeah.
They're orange because apparently the other animals, the animals they like preying on, the animals they like eating, the antelopes and the buffaloes and the whatever, they cannot see the color orange. So because a tiger is orange, but in the wild it is in a green environment, the jungle, the forest, right?
Yes.
So it's very distinct when you look at it that way.
Yeah,
however,
for adaptation.
Yeah, but now apparently hawa wanyama wengine hawawezi ona orange, na ndio maana ni rahisi kwa tiger
kuweza kuwapata.
Exactly, kuwawinda na kuwakula.
Well, is it that they cannot see orange, or is it because of maybe the environment? Because most of the time grass sometimes looks like brown, orange or something.
No.
Yeah, they cannot see. Other animals cannot see orange. Tigers
actually live in the jungle. So and the jungle is very green. So the animals that they prey on, the antelopes, the whatevers, uto tunyama, gazelles, hatuwezi ona yo color green. Orange, sorry. Yeah.
Well, okay. I'll just go. I need to go and do research about that.
Go check it out.
To understand more about that. But I do understand that the environment sometimes, the tree trunks most of the time they are orange or like brown.
If you watch a documentary of a tiger in the wild, you will very much distinctively see it, because you can see the color orange against the green lush environment, but other animals can't. Yeah.
So it's their day today.
All right. Big shout out to tigers. I hope
we are celebrating them today.
I hope they're tuned in.
Yeah, so it's quite important that we preserve them. Actually, yesterday we talked of preservation of nature, and of course this involves also the wild animals in nature. Yeah, so quite important. Well, again now, the train, RGK train taking us to Arab, those areas of Arab. Yeah? And this is a quote by one Al-Mutanabi.
Al-Mutanabi.
Yes, who was a poet. And this is what he said, that if you see the teeth of the lion, do not think that the lion is smiling at you.
If you see the teeth of a lion, don't think the lion is smiling at you.
Yes.
Yeah, that means that you're either breakfast, lunch or dinner.
Yeah. You know, sometimes when the lion opens their mouth and you see the teeth, you might mistake them like they are laughing at you, they are smiling at you. Ukiona meno, kumbe kumbe kwa grao mambo ni tofauti.
Well, it is obviously a metaphor. We can use it as a metaphor because it means that once someone shows you their true colors, believe them. Mtu akikuonesha their true colors, hizo ndizo meno zake, muamini. Whether they are good colors or bad colors, amini huyo mtu at that particular point.
And me, I will look at it from a critical point that sometimes the smiles that you see on people, that is not really what they are or what they mean to you. Sometimes somebody is smiling at you, but deep down in their heart, they mean evil about you. They mean evil for you. So unaona meno tu hapo unadhania kwamba this person is really so it's quite important that even as we live sometimes be critical with smiles that you think you want to receive. Sometimes it is not a smile.
Interesting and powerful as well. It is time for us to get into the news. So grab your coffee and sit back. Let's inform you because Radio Generation today is going to be on fire as far as the news that are making headlines and topics are concerned. So why don't you log on to rgk.co.ke. That is our official website where you can also catch us live, by the way. If you want to see my cashmere coat, please do log in so that we can compare and see whether we go to the same tailor or rather we have the same tailor or we go to the same exhibition kununua nguo.
Are we from the same economy?
Ama sisi sote tunaendanga Gikomba au sio? So rgk.co.ke is where we are at. And the first story there, written about 7 minutes ago by Tanya Wanjiko. It's a miracle, Munyako says as he returns to Kenya after 14 years on Saudi death row. Let's check out what this story is all about. Of course, we've mentioned this guy a couple of times last week. And I mean, a lot of Kenyans know his history, but in case you don't know, here it is. After spending 14 years behind bars in Saudi Arabia, Stephen Munyako, now known as Abdul Karim, finally returned home on Monday morning, marking the end of a long and emotional journey that nearly ended in execution. You remember when we were told that alienda for a small pilgrimage before he returned to the country. Now we understand why. Ali convert to Islam akiwa kule Saudi Arabia. All right. So Munyako, who had been sentenced to death following a 2011 conviction for murder, arrived at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport from Jeddah to a warm welcome from his family, the Foreign Affairs Principal Secretary, and members of the Bring Back Stivo Strategy Committee. He was released from Shimeisi prison in the Governorate of Mecca on July 22nd, 2025, after the requirements of a judicial decree were fulfilled. Speaking briefly after his arrival, Munyako said, "I am glad to be back home in Kenya. My presence here today is nothing short of a miracle, and I want to begin by thanking Allah for the gift of life. I also want to thank everyone who prayed for me, encouraged me, and contributed towards my freedom and return home. Some of you I know, but the vast majority in your tens of thousands were simply touched by the misfortune of a total stranger," he said. "I am grateful to Allah for this second chance that I have been granted. It's wonderful to be back home, but please allow me some time to rest and reorganize myself before I can speak further." So Stivo alipatikana katika mashaka masijini niseme ni matata akiwa kule Saudia. And there was an unfortunate event where someone lost his life. And Stephen Munyako Abdul Karim was actually he was involved in one way or another for the cause of death of this particular person. But a lot of people were saying that it was not intentional. However, the laws in Saudi decided that he needed to face execution.
You were found guilty.
Yes. So Wakenya wakamngangania pale. They petitioned the Foreign Affairs Ministry here in Kenya. Remember, this is a situation that has been going on for 14 years. Even before the KK government took over. 2011, President Kibaki was the president of this country, and this process started that time.
Is it 2011 or 2014?
According to this story,
2014, I think.
Munyako, who had been sentenced to death following a 2011 conviction for murder. So this guy has been 14 years behind bars. So 14 ukiminus from right 14, now, it's 2011. So anyway, long story short, here he is. back home after Kenyans petitioned, wakamchangia. Kuna pesa ililipwa, by the way, to the family of the deceased. I think it was if I remember well, probably $1 million I think. In Kenyan money, that's over 130 million right now. Kenyans walichanga 130 million.
That's a lot.
130.
That's a lot, but
million.
You can't, of course, compare it with life. Yeah,
and
life
much more because much more because of course he had legal representation. They took care of that as well.
Yes.
And now he was deported back. Let me tell you something. Wanasemanga east or west, home is the best.
Yeah, home is the best.
Na si uongo.
It is true. You know, the other day the CS Foreign Affairs told the Kenyans, ukishaenda kwa nchi ya watu ujue kwa wenyewe.
Na sheria za huko
na sheria za kule
tofauti na za kwenu nyumbani.
We keep on saying anytime you board a flight ama umevuka border,
hivyo
ujue kwamba umeenda kule, kuna sheria za kule. And again, of course, you cannot be as free as you are when you're in your own country.
True.
Usually quite different.
Here at least you might know the OCS of the station that you've been arrested. He could be your brother, your cousin, he could be your father, your uncle. So kuna kahuruma anaweza kakupatia. Unaelewa? Na hiyo imekubalika. I mean, sheria of course haitakubali, lakini surely if your uncle arrested you and you've committed a crime, he might be lenient on you. He might allow certain freedoms that any other person wouldn't have allowed you.
Unlike somebody whom you do not share blood, somebody who actually you don't even share language. Unapata ni mtu hata ukiongea amsikizani, ampatani.
Ama ni mtu mlina naye shule, so mnaelewana on that level. Ndio umefanya makosa, amekukamata, ndio atakupeleka kotini eventually, lakini ata make sure maybe ukiwa kule ndani korokoroni umepata chai, maji ya kunywa, umeenda msalani vizuri, as opposed to someone else who just say weka huko, hajali mambo yako, wewe umekunywa chai, umelala, ujalala, umetandika, hujatandika, hajali. So east or west, home is the best. Yes. So if you're planning to leave this country, please, especially those people who are caught drug peddling, tafadhali. Kwanza mimi hawa watu mbisi siko ubaya. Mimi I usually have no mercy on them. I usually have no mercy. You might hate me for this, but there's no way you will carry drugs, take them to another country, hoping to be paid millions of shillings or hundreds of thousands.
You come back, you are rich.
You're rich, but uko mali umepeleka hizo drugs zimeenda kuumiza watu wengine, watoto wa wenyewe. Or you've brought them into this country. Yeah? So umekuja kuumiza watu wetu na dawa zako za kulevya. Wewe ulipwe uishi vizuri, uishi kwa manyumba ya kifahari, uendeshe magari ya kifahari, lakini sisi hapa hapana.
Most of the time, those people sell drugs.
Yes.
Sometimes they may not be having somebody who has been affected by drugs in their families. So
they don't understand the gravity.
Yeah. Most of the time watu tunasema ukimuona kichaa kwa barabara, utacheka kwa sababu si wenu. Wait until ni wa kwenu.
Kweli.
Wait until ni kichaa wa kwenu. Ndugu yako ama ni mzazi wako, ama ni your child.
I know the effects of drugs and alcohol abuse. I have seen it in my family. So mimi sinanga huruma nikisikia tulipatikana na drugs. Wewe bana jibambe, I mean jitetee kivyako.
Actually, if you go to Mombasa at the coast, and especially because huko ndo tumeona drugs may affect a lot of Kenyans. Ukienda such places like kuna pale Kisauni. There's a place when you pass by, you're like, okay, you look at those people there and you're like, you'd like to even shed tears because you're like, if this would have been my son, my brother, my sister, you see the kind of life they are living. That person cannot function without
the drugs.
Yes, they cannot function at all.
It's sad. There's another sad story here. Family, LSK reject autopsy report on prison death of Julia Wangui. Again, another story by Tanya Wanjiko, written this particular morning. Like we said, we are always fresh with the news that are making headlines. The family of Julia Wangui, a 21-year-old woman who died while in custody in Nanyuki earlier this month, has dismissed the findings of a post-mortem report that attributed her death to natural causes, insisting it was part of a cover-up to shield state officers from accountability. Addressing journalists at the Nanyuki Cottage Hospital mortuary after a second autopsy was conducted on Monday, family spokesperson Susan Rienye said the report, which concluded that Wangui died from a ruptured blood vessel in the brain, lacked credibility and transparency. She accused the team of pathologists, including the one hired by the family, of colluding with police and prison officers to defeat justice. When we hired the pathologist and made a down payment of 50,000 Kenyan shillings, she never disclosed to us that she works for the government. We only found out after the post-mortem, said Rienye. In Noma. Now, the first post-mortem was conducted at the same facility 2 weeks ago, but was declared inconclusive. At the time, all 3 pathologists involved said they needed more time to conclude investigations. So, lead pathologist Peter Ndegwa had reported that the preliminary results showed bleeding in the brain, but said they had not linked it to any head trauma. He also pointed out irregularities in the lungs, pancreas, and liver, and said further toxicology tests were required, along with a medical report from the doctors who had operated on her. Sasa hapa kuna situation where a pathologist mlikuwa mmedhani ni private, kumbe mnakuja kujua ni wa serikali,
ni wa gava. Lakini
swali ni konalo hapa ni moja, walimtoa wapi huyu pathologist?
I don't know.
I am assuming that if I needed an autopsy to be done on a person of interest, I would probably ask my doctors to recommend a pathologist. So niwaulize, like, kuna madaktari najua, wengine tulisoma na wao. So nitapigia mabesti wangu niambie, hey bro, ebu recommend to me a pathologist, specifically someone who's not in the government. Yes, I'll make that very clear. And I'll make sure that the person I'm asking understands the reason why I need this pathology done, autopsy done, is because we need to understand whether the same government was involved. So there's no way I won't call the government to investigate the government.
Well, I think we just said something. There's a smile that you see on the face value, and then now there's the underlying truth. Sometimes wanaweza kuwa walikuwa wametafuta hata msaada,
ndio
kuulizia advice, like can we get somebody who can be on our side, and then umepewa mtu kumbe naye on the other side works for the government. There's conflict of interest, of course, in that in that case. So sometimes the report that comes out, of course, you cannot rely on it 100%.
So another issue here that is arising, kuna wale madaktari watatu wa kwanza ambao walifanya ile postmortem.
Yes.
Wakasema it's inconclusive, and they all agreed. 3 professionals who have been doing this is their work. Like their work is, ndio kuna daktari wa kawaida na kuna pathologist. Pathologist ni mtu amesomea na kuelewa mambo ya nini ya kifo, to find the cause of death. So when this doctor tells you, I do not know how this person died, 3 of them, they tell you, we don't know how this individual,
we cannot establish
how this individual, and we need time for further investigation. Then another one who you now came to discover is working for the government comes and tells you huyu alikufa juu ya kitu ilibast kwa kichwa. Yet kuna wengine watatu
wanasema kwamba we cannot conclude.
Ingekuwa ni mmoja aseme we are not sure, mungesema okay, but tutafute mwingine pia atupatie a different opinion. Watatu akasema hawajui. But mmoja ambaye mlikuja kujua ni wa serikali anakuambia sasa tumejua shida ilikuwa nini, busted vessel in the head.
Well, and if you think you are shocked enough, there's this story about police constable denies murder charge in killing of Nairobi street vendor. That is a story by Brenda Soki, still on our website, which says that Constable Clinzy Baraza Masinde has denied murder charges in connection with the fatal shooting of mask vendor Boniface Kariuki Mwangi during his arraignment at the Milimani Law Courts on Monday, July 28, 2025. Barasa is accused of killing Kariuki on June 17, 2025 in broad daylight outside Imenti House along Moi Avenue in Nairobi. The incident sparked public outrage, with eyewitnesses claiming the unarmed vendor was shot at close range during a confrontation with the police officers enforcing hawking regulations in the city center. So Baraza pleaded not guilty before High Court Judge Lilian Mutende. According to a psychiatric evaluation conducted by government psychiatrists, Dr. Priscilla Makau on 21st July, the accused officer was found mentally fit to stand trial.
Okay.
You are shocked by that other story. Now, this one is shocking you more. He has denied involvement in the murder of our Boniface Kariuki, the late, we know.
Yeah.
What is your...
My conclusion is, or rather my
What is your
deduction
input?
is,
Yeah.
I think he should have pleaded guilty. Because the evidence is overwhelming. That way, perhaps the court would be a bit lenient on him. Because once you plead guilty, you have the opportunity to show remorse. Once you accept the mistake, you have the opportunity to be contrite.
Okay. How can you show remorse in this kind of a case?
By accepting that nilifanya makosa, niliua mtu bana.
So okay, ni sawa,
Sasa kutoka
umeomba
hapo,
msamaha. From there now, of course we are going to serve you justice.
Yeah.
Umefanya makosa now, we are going to give you the judgment that you deserve.
So let me tell you why pleading guilty sometimes is actually in your best interest. You can plead innocence or not guilty when the evidence inakaa inakaa not here neither there, ni kama haiko. Okay, and this is, me, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm just giving my own opinion. And the moment you plead guilty to this case, now you have the opportunity to even plead for clemency and say, look, it was in the heat of the moment. I was honestly not intending to shoot this guy. I didn't come to the streets to kill people. I was just telling him, ondoka hapa. Kuna venye unajitetea from there. Nilikuwa najaribu tu kumwambia manze toka, na ndio nilipoint ile bunduki kwa uso wake ama kichwa chake.
But I didn't.
But sikujua safety iko off.
Well, I think
so you plead guilty and you say, I shot him. I am the one who shot him. But the intention, I was not intending to, number one, kill him or even shoot him in the first place. Then once you have said those things, now your defense team, your lawyers, can tell the court, this person has actually realized his mistake. Yeah.
Well, do you know, for you to be able to say that you are innocent, like you did not intend, there is also a measure as to whether you are intentional or not. Like we were being told here that before you pull the trigger, they said it has two stages. Kuna ile ukivuta hivi, I think there is another stage whereby now before you make a decision now to release. So I think that is one of the things that will be considered. Like
ndio inasema it is easier for him to accept the mistake now and just say also adrenaline rush. Mimi, this is the first time nimejipata kwa maandamano ama kwa vitu kama hizi. Kelele all over. I was disoriented and I happened to pull the trigger in a moment of whatever. Well, kuna venye unaweza jitetea ukisha plead guilty. As opposed to unajua kisha kataa ni hivyo. Umekataa, hakuna kujitetea ingine after that. Ni sasa prosecution ilete evidence, judge make ruling. Unajua judge akisha kupata guilty, when now they survey the evidence and they agree that this person is guilty and his intention was to kill, my friend, hapo unapatiangwa the full sentence. But if you plead guilty, you can even, if you are going to get a life imprisonment, for example, the judge can say, Mbuvi has agreed that he did this mistake, and for that reason, clearly he has shown remorse. I'm going to give him 20 years.
Well, okay. That is according, maybe that is your opinion.
Because for me, patikana ni maisha.
Okay, for me, when we were growing up, we were being told that kitu ya kwanza ukifika kule unafanga unakataa. Well, this is just what you were being told kitambo. But of course, when you grow up and you meet people, you meet lawyers, advocates, they will tell you a different perspective of this whole thing. But what I would say, I do not think that pleading guilty would make that the serving of justice be a bit lighter.
I think it would.
As according to whatever we saw.
It would. The reason why you plead, okay, a very good example. There's a gentleman who pleaded guilty kwa maandamano. Na akasema he pleads guilty to causing chaos and causing harm and attacking people's whatever. Ali plead guilty. And he was in a group of very many young gentlemen, and I believe women as well. And he pled guilty. Wale wengine wote wakasema not guilty. He was let go by the judge. Na akapatiwa warning. Hata kutolewa hata shilingi hata moja. Aliambiwa, because you've agreed, you've accepted your mistake, clearly you're willing to change and you won't do it again. na akaachiliwa hapo akaambiwa walk out.
Walk out. Okay.
And he even looked confused until the bailiff, the officer in charge, akamwambia kijana tembea hivi nje.
Utoke uende.
Na akatoka.
You are free. Well, I think me personally, and especially in this case whereby this killing was not just something out of the blues.
Yeah.
Remember, 2024 people were killed on the streets.
Yeah.
Remember, before people went to the streets again, there was the issue of abductions. There was also the issue of the killing of the late blogger. You get?
Yes.
So this is not something like you would say, hii ilikuwa ni mistake, haikuwa intentional. You get? Kuna tu venye.
That's why I'm saying, once you plead guilty, you have accepted that you pulled the trigger. Yes, and probably it was intentional. However, you can now plead another part of that case and say, my intention was not to kill. My intention was, okay, like I've said, mimi si lawyer, but I'm just saying, I know once you plead guilty, you've opened a new opportunity for a different kind of sentencing, as opposed to pleading not guilty, where now, if you're actually found guilty, the judge will give you the full punishment according to the law. So ukisema guilty, unasema okay, sawa, huyu jamaa amekubali, so now where do we move from here? Your lawyers can argue and say Patricia amekubali makosa na tunaomba hii court tafadhali imhurumie kwa sababu amekubali na amerealize makosa alifanya na ako tayari kufanya nini? Kuface sheria. Lakini hakimu consider that Patricia amekubali makosa yake, and the judge will say yes, so Patricia has accepted that she made this crime, she committed this crime, and this crime deserves 20 years, but because of the fact that she has realized her mistake, that means she's willing to rehabilitate. I'm giving her 5 years.
Okay,
justice will be served, but not the kind of justice you expected.
Well, yeah, my conclusion will be depends with your lawyer also.
Yeah, and
sometimes,
the judge.
Depends with the lawyer, depends with the judge
and the prosecutor.
Yeah, of course.
Because your prosecutor anaweza kukutetea aseme Patricia amekubali, so sisi kama prosecution tunasema mhurumie kidogo, amekubali makosa yake, as opposed to kikataa wanasema huyu amekataa, tuende mpaka mwisho. There's a story here I want us to move on before we forget it, and it's about US President Donald Trump, who has sharply shortened the timeline for Russia to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine, giving Moscow just 10 to 12 days from Monday, that is yesterday, to end the war, warning that time for diplomacy is quickly running out. So Trump made the remarks during a news conference in Scotland, days after meeting United Kingdom Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He criticized the lack of progress towards peace and said there was no reason to keep waiting for movement. Yeah? So the new ultimatum comes barely 2 weeks after Trump had given Russian President Vladimir Putin 50 days to halt the war or face heavy economic penalties. Yeah. So America wame put their foot down, wakaambia Russia, you have what? 12 days from Monday. So that's yesterday. So 12 days zinaisha, I think, on Friday.
Yeah. You must accept.
Friday lengine.
Yes.
Yes. So
they're being told you must accept.
Yeah, a ceasefire. So zinaisha Friday 8th of August.
After which now
it's just economic penalties. These guys can't go to war. These are nuclear powers. If they go to war, we are done.
Both of them, and actually even us. Of course, we're going to suffer.
If they go to war, kama Ukraine na Russia walienda tu vita na vitu zikapanda, au sijui mara mafuta au mara unga.
Kwanza mafuta ya kupika jamani.
Mara tunatoanga unga wa chapati kutoka Ukraine. I didn't know that. I was like, what? Yeah, so I thought I saw wheat farms here in Kenya until I realized
ingredients za kutengeneza mafuta ya kupika,
until I found out kumbe hata hakuna kitu tuko nayo hapa Kenya, kila kitu natokanga huko Russia na Ukraine. Anyway, I want us to do the traffic, and when we return we shall be checking out what's happening in the newspapers. So if you've not grabbed your paper this particular morning, don't worry, we have got the scoop for you.
Traffic.
All right, so what is happening on the roads of Nairobi? Let me check. I'm looking at Google Maps currently. If you're planning to leave the house, what roads are you planning to use? Well, if you're on Mombasa Road, hata nikwambie, naona ikuwa green this particular hour. It is now 6:30. The traffic is not looking bad at this particular minute. So watu ambao wanatoka Thiriva, watu wanatoka Kitengela, mko sawa. Mkifika pale Agol Grand Hotel, mko salama kabisa. Mkielekea Cabanas bus station ama ni bus stop. Mko sawa, that is past Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. However, there's a small slight snarl up pale Cabanas overpass bridge. Hii ni kwa sababu watu wanatoka wapi? Watu wanatoka sehemu za Embakasi wakiingia sehemu za ICD, that is Old Mombasa Road, but you're moving nonetheless. And then tuelekee wapi? Niangalie, tumeteremka hivi Panari, tumepita, kila kitu kiko sawa kwa sasa, hamna traffic nyingi sana. Maybe mambo yatabadilika in the next 1 hour. Of course we shall keep you updated.
Same applies to Jogoo Road, not so much traffic. Area ya traffic ni pale tumesema kila wakati there is some renovation taking place. Makadara ukija mpaka ukifika ukielekea town, that is where we are seeing traffic, but of course in some of the part of the road it is moving. Pia ukifika City Stadium roundabout also tunaona it is slow but moving as you head towards town. Kamkunji pia I can see things not that bad, just a section of it that we have traffic. Then upande wa Ngong Road things are quite okay, except ukifika the usual places where we find traffic, that is at the junction ya kuingia na this is City Mortuary roundabout, and again pale Prestige na Junction. Those are the areas that we are seeing traffic. Ukiangalia Thika Road things are quite okay, except ukianzia pale KCA Survey ukiingia town, that is where we are seeing a little bit of traffic, but of course the rest of the road is quite clear.
All right, so that's what is making headlines as far as your roads are concerned. Do stand by, because any incidences, we shall definitely keep you updated.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
All right, so hata tuingie katika magazeti. Nataka nianze na The Daily Nation. What is on the front page of The Daily Nation? Tax law exposes Kenyatta family expressway deal. Nakwambia kila siku Kenya ina drama. So a contract between Edgeworth Properties and Kill Infrastructure Construction Company, the Nairobi Expressway contractor, would not have raised any eyebrows were it not for a tax feud over millions of shillings. Now the dispute has exposed another well-kept secret: the Kenyatta family link to the mega road project. Expressway ilijengwa wakati wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
Wakumbuka Mombasa Road ilikuanga na traffic
sana
chungu mzima
sana.
Ilikuwa inaanza asubuhi 5 am, inaisha usiku 12 midnight or sometimes even past. Actually, remember there's one time I left town at 2 p.m. I got home at 1 a.m. because of traffic during the construction of the expressway. Now we understand that apparently there's a tax feud over millions of shillings involving the Kenyatta family.
Kenya yetu iko na mambo hii.
Mimi mbona sikuzaliwa
kila siku?
Mbona sikuzaliwa kwa familia zingine? Si ati sipendi familia yangu, naipenda tena sana. Lakini ningependa kukua kwa tax feud over millions of shillings.
Ungependa? Ni
kumaanisha zile ziko mfukoni, Wakamba wanasemanga ukiona minyoo hapa kwa mdomo, ni kumaanisha zile ziko ndani ni nyingi.
Okay.
Sasa ukiona hapa kuna vita, hii ndio sasa minyoo iko kwa mdomo sasa. Ni kumaanisha ile iko kule ndani ni mingi.
So
watu wamekula. Na hii tu ni project ngapi? Moja.
That is just one project.
I can't imagine what the big families in this country are making in terms of projects. You're involved in the SGR, you're involved in the expressway, you're involved in the housing, you're involved
in stadiums, in what?
Acha niseme kama vinyo Openjea wa digital anasemanga mama, ama anasemangaje?
Mama.
All right, so looking at another story here, it's about IBC, which has begun reviewing a petition to kick out Pasaris from Parliament. So 4 petitioners submit a petition to the Electoral Commission seeking to oust the Nairobi woman representative Esther Pasaris, and the polls agency will consider whether the recall petition meets the legal threshold. So they were saying that in Nairobi here, the person petitioning, they need about 750,000 signatures.
Yes.
just to start the process.
That is a third of the registered voters in that constituency.
When I was watching the news yesterday, they just said, I remember they said 750,000. So I don't know if it's a third.
Yeah, it should be, because the requirement is just a third of the registered voters, and
they must be registered in Nairobi. Not that you may sign your petition and you're registered in Kadhonzweni.
That's why we are saying registered in that constituency, and not concentrated in one ward, one area. Yeah, it should be evenly distributed. Yes, so in that constituency.
That means you need, for now, because Esther is for Nairobi, that means jamaa lazima wazunguke Nairobi yote.
Yes.
Waende mpaka kule Imara Daima, Embakasi, waingie Umoja, wapate signatures huko, waende Githurai is still part of Nairobi, waende Githurai 44 na 45 wakute signatures kule, waende
my take. It is easy to get those number of signatures.
How?
In our country, it's quite easy, and especially let me tell you, and especially at this time,
how would they get the signatures? Hebu tuambie.
Ndugu yangu,
tupatie hiyo formula tafadhali. Wanakusikiza, wapatie formula.
No, of course it's just going to every ward, and you're getting people. And again, right now social media has made everything easy. It's quite easy for you to gather signatures, by the way.
I think they need to be physical signatures.
Of course.
Hii utaweka online and you guys physical, sign here.
It is physical, but of course it is starting somewhere online. Like people from this area.
Yeah.
There is this and this and this. We want to recall this on these grounds.
But
you get, so if you are for this, we are coming. We will be in this place.
Do they have to be physical though? I've just said that and I realized I don't have the facts. Does it have to be physical? What if I can create an online signatory thingy where I just put online and I say www.toapasaris.com, sign here?
We have done so many of this, by the way, online. Kunazo mingi sana tumekuwa tukipush.
Any lawyers listening, by the way?
Participated for these activities online, by the way, whereby you are able to put your ID and you can sign. So for this one, I don't know. I think it is physical collection of
so
signatures.
Yesterday I was having a conversation with someone about the same story, about gathering the 750 signatures. Na akasema movie ukisimama tu pale archives. Usome tu pale archives
and ask for signatures.
Na kakibanda tu niwaambie waseni aje nipeeni signatures zenu. Ati zinaweza fika.
It will. Me, I've told you, it is very easy to get those votes. And especially, ukiangalia Nairobi, and at this point in time, the situation that we are in the country, people are so angry. People are just mad about what is happening. So it is very easy to get such number of votes.
Okay.
Na usisimame pale archives.
All the best.
Different places.
All the best to both teams, that is Pasaris and the people who are collecting the signatures. Wenye wanaokota na watakia kila laheri mweze kupata 750,000 signatures. To the people, of course, in Pasaris team, hoping that they don't get these signatures. I also wish you all the best. You and again, pray to your gods.
Well, it is a whole process by there to recalling these leaders. And of course, that is why we were saying initially, Kenyans were complaining about that whole process of recalling. But I think now ni kama Wakenya wameamua sasa wacha tuende na njia ya kurecall, because apart from Pasaris, there are also other names of leaders. I think the IBC chairman did not disclose who are these, but he said he has already received 4. Yes, already 4 other names of leaders whom Kenyans want to recall.
Wacha tuone venye itaenda. Like I said, I wish both teams all the best. On matters of education, why head teachers want parents to pay more fees? So as debates rages on the fate of free education, given reduced budgetary allocation by government, head teachers are seeking clearance to charge parents extra fees to plug, or rather to more or less plug the shortfall. And they argue that the cash crunch will disrupt operations in public schools and of course next term. 10 hurdles Ruto opponents face ahead of the 2027 poll. You can check this story on page 7. So politicians working to topple the Kenya Kwanza regime in the next election must overcome several obstacles on the path to crafting a winning formula. First male birth control pill clears another milestone. Wanaume tumefikiwa. A campaign for a third category of contraceptives for men after condoms and vasectomies is gathering pace, with the first hormone-free birth control pill passing a crucial safety trial. This story is on page 3. So first male birth control pill clears another milestone.
Yeah. It's quite important.
Wanaume mumefikiwa. The reason I'm saying mume, sababu mimi siko kwa hii category. Mimi sina shida ya birth control.
You do not have a problem.
Hey, anyway, so this particular situation that has been introduced by the medical family or faculty, let me call them biotechnologists. Ni watu wangu, by the way.
Yeah, ni watu wako hao.
Ni watu wangu wamepata njia ya kuzuia uzazi kwa wanaume, lakini bila kutumia hormonal drugs. For example, the drugs that women take for birth control are hormonal 100%.
True.
And I think that drug inaitangwa levengestrol or something, levengestrone, the one that controls your ovulation, therefore by extension controlling whether you get pregnant or not. So let's see how this pans out. Will male take this pill? You know, there are so many myths.
See, I really do not understand what usually the problem is.
No, wanaume
ampendi na amtaki hata kidogo.
Wanaume wanaogopa kumeza hii dawa, and then it stops them completely from ever siring children.
And then why are you not even? Why don't you also care about women who swallow those pills?
Because for women, number one, your drugs have been available for a very long time, tried and tested, and
but it was tried on people, right?
I think it was also tried on animals.
So this one can also be tried on people. You can also use, so that in future we can say it has been used for the longest time.
I'm sure there are men who will take this pill for a fact. Hiyo nayo si uongo. Kuna wenye kwanza I'm sure walikuwa
wanangojea. Kuna some who are open minded, by the way.
So here's now the situation. You know now the situation of women trapping men. Itaisha na hii dawa.
Of course, you know that
a few people will be caught in the trap, those who decide not to use this medicine. However, hii mambo ya getting pregnant for a man, and you know a man can take this pill without telling you, the same way women take the pill without telling
their partners. Yes.
So wako hapo unashanga udemba na hapatangi mimba.
Kumbe
mpaka unaanza kujishuku, unaanza kuona kama wewe kama mwanaume ndio shida. Kumbe this lady chini ya maji amekuwa kimeza.
So pill. Now unasema wanaume watakuwa na meza pills, and they come to us.
Yes.
So unashangaa what is not happening. I want to trap this guy, nothing is happening.
You will want to trap millionaires.
Yes.
You will want to trap handsome, you know, there are women who just want I want to sleep with this man because I want cute kids. I want handsome children. I want beautiful children. Because maybe ni mwindi ama ni mwarabu ama ni light skin ama anakaa certain way. Hiyo sasa imeisha. If men uptake this medicine and they decide, you know what, let's own this.
I'm just worried about the uptake, the reception of these pills by men, and especially the African men.
Of course, if initially itakuwa na some what do I call it?
Because hiyo kidogo yenye mmepewangwa itakuwa
na resistance kidogo.
You don't want to use it. What about now this one?
Itakuwa na resistance kidogo, lakini eventually it will be taken up. And it might not even happen in this century. In our other decade, inaweza kwanza kukubalika 2 decades from today, but eventually itakubalika. So msijali. But for the real men, nioneni kando niwapatie siri. What is on your paper?
Well, the Standard newspaper, a biggest story is about betraying Kenyans. And this is what it says about abductions abroad. That Kenyans are being abducted, tortured, dumped across East African borders, yet their government watches in silence. From human rights activist Mwabili Mwagodi, left drugged and traumatized in Diani after 4 days of torment in Tanzania, to the earlier seizure and sexual assaults of Boniface Mwangi and Ugandan journalist Agatha, the pattern is chilling. With no formal charges, no consular access, and no accountability demanded, these incidents raise the alarm on a brewing diplomatic disaster. At the center of the storm are President William Ruto and Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi, who have failed to condemn the violations or defend Kenyan's sovereignty. Critics now accuse the state of betrayal, worse, of complicity. Story on page 4 of the Standard newspaper.
Okay.
Kuna jambo la kusema hapo?
Hilo jambo tulilizungumzia jana. We expected of course for Mr. Mwagodi to release such kinds of scathing information, but I believe in such times we can also just first of all let him recover from the ordeal, because I cannot imagine myself being in that situation. Foreign land, nimekamatwa, nafanyiwa mambo na watu, and then of course unakuja huku Kenya, watu wengine wanakushuku. You could be lying to us also, you could be saying the truth, we're not sure, and then it's your word basically against everyone else.
I know human rights activists have come out and said that this is a way of silencing their dissenting voices.
True.
Which of course we can say it could be. This is a way of silencing people who are critiquing the governments that are in place in these countries. But also, personally, I would advise, if you know you are maybe a human rights activist,
Right.
I think it is also time, just stay within your country for the time being. Me, that is the advice I would tell somebody. Because how, like, for example, you know, what I've come to realize is that these people are really recording what is happening in our countries. They are seeing everything that is happening in our countries. And of course, if maybe you are somebody of decent voices, that a voice against your government, these neighboring countries, they can see. And we all can see, like, things are happening. You get abducted in that foreign country, unafanyiwa madhambi, and then you get dumped across border.
No, nasikia Mwagodi avenyali dumpiwa on this other side, Kokotot pia na askari wengine.
Yes. Na huku unapatana na polisi.
Na bado wakamfanyia madhambi.
Yes.
So, like I said, this is a very... I don't know when things will change, but I know they will. It's just that they might change in my lifetime or the next. I don't know. Yeah, but things can't continue like this forever. That's a fact. Yeah.
Something must be done. These governments, they just need to... But, okay, what is confusing is that you're in a foreign land, umekamatwa na mapolisi wa hiyo land, then you are tortured. Ukiletwa kwenu, umepokelewa bado na mapolisi wa kwenu, and still again you get you get tortured.
Yeah.
So where are you safe?
With your God.
Well, policy confusion cuts cripple public schools. Government's shrinking education budget and policy flip-flops leave schools reeling, parents paying more, and the promise of free education in doubt. That is on pages 6 and 7. This is something that we talked about even yesterday. And we looked at what has led into this. It is something that for the longest time people are the government, maybe the people concerned, they kept quiet on it. It's something I think they ignored, because imagine the 22,000 allocation per student, the allocation per student for the capitation was done several years ago. Things have changed. Prices of commodities have changed. Inflation rate has also changed. So many things have also changed.
Yes,
Sindio?
yes.
But still, bado tulikuwa tuko stuck pale kwa kusema 22. And there's also the failure of systems like, let's say, the Ministry of Education. It is you to give the government, the budgeting committee, the number of students that are in school, are enrolled in these schools. So you will not tell us now, mume allocate this much, not considering the fact that the population ya students inaongezeka kila siku. Okay, what are you telling us?
The only problem with this whole capitation situation is the fact that kuna incompetence. It's just incompetence, imagine. It's nothing much. We can sugarcoat it in so many words. MPs can gallivant all over the country saying different things. But the truth of the matter is, you have a population you need to take care of.
Yes.
You've done census. You literally have Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. You have the numbers. You have the schools, and you know the number of children in each and every single one of those schools. Munajua enrollment through the NEMIS number. Munajua ni watoto wangapi waliingia kindergarten, PP1, PP2. Mnajua ni wangapi waliingia grade 1. Saizi kutuambia ati pesa itoshi because wanafunzi ni wengi, that is what anyone else would call balderdash.
Yeah, because okay, whose responsibility is that?
So it's incompetence.
Yes.
Yeah. It's incompetence.
So somebody needs to up their game.
Yeah.
Well, on the Star newspaper, a biggest story there is high stakes for Ruto, Raila and Rigathi in mean polls. In a mini polls, 23 pending by-elections likely to define the trajectory of 2027 elections. That is what you're talking about. And this story being on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper, this poll was conducted in these places whereby elections will be done. This mini poll. That is the by-election that we are expecting. So there is one that will happen in Magarini, that is in Kilifi County. There is Kasipul, Homa Bay County. There is one to be done in Ugunja in Siaya County. There is Beere North. There is Banisa. There is Baringo. So these are the places that we are expecting. We want to see what happens there.
It's a litmus test for Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission. Let's see if they will deliver. If they fail this one, we have a very big problem come 2027.
You know, I'm just asking myself, why did the writer put on Rigathi on this list?
What do you mean?
I mean, okay, we are talking of three giants in these 2027 elections.
Okay.
Why put Rigathi? Why not the other people? Why not Matiang'i? Why not the other guys?
because right now, DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua is one of the people who are making proper waves in the political scene, and you cannot ignore that. You cannot ignore that. Even if you have anything against the guy, you cannot ignore the fact that he's
I do not have anything against him.
I'm not saying you specifically as Patricia, but I'm just saying anyone out there listening to us, even if you have anything against the guy, there is nothing you can do to take away the fact that he's making proper waves right now, positively or negatively.
So these other political parties, these other political opposition leaders, I think they do not have an impact right now, and as we expect to see what happens in these by-elections. By the way, tutaona mambo mengi sana, and I know a lot will happen after the by-elections also. Yeah, might witness a lot of shifting after the by-elections. Yeah, so acha tuangalie.
There's already talk of KK government. People are planning to, what is it called, to have an exodus to the opposition side from the Kenya Kwanza government. But also, we know for a fact that we shall have opposition migrating into KK government. So there's, in the next couple of months, following up to the election, we're going to see a lot of exchange from opposition and Gava. So it's expected. Chatuone.
Okay, there's also a story on page 7 of the Star newspaper about audit exposing a daunting task facing Ruku at NYS. This is what it says, that the National Youth Service, once hailed as the country's flagship youth empowerment program, stands at a crossroads. Auditor General's report for the financial year ending 30th of June 2024 exposes a litany of issues, including financial mismanagement, governance failures, and operational inefficiencies that demand urgent intervention. The revelations, ranging from unsupported asset valuations worth billions to stalled projects and systemic procurement irregularities, paint a picture of an institution gravitating towards dysfunction. Yoni NYS.
Underline the word
dysfunction.
Put it in capital and bold. Underline it. Ikibidi yeka italics pia.
We our country bana, tukitoka huku tunaenda huku. By the way, I have told you so many times that the problems that we are having in our country, even right now as we are talking of our schools cannot be funded, we can no longer support free education. It is not because we do not have money, Mungala.
Yeah.
The problem is usually in our systems, and of course these systems are made to work by people, individuals that are put in those positions. Because right now when you talk of procurement, like for example of plants and property, plant and equipment, there is of course there is a law that governs issues to do with procurement, and especially in the government institutions.
Yes.
Yeah, there are procedures that should be followed. So sometimes people just do this intentionally. They fail to follow the procedures. They fail to observe the laws governing that procurement process. And that is how they end up doing all these things.
Someone once told us that Kenya is the only country that has got a degree in procurement.
By the way,
in the entire world. I've not really traveled this world much, and I've not really researched as far as education is concerned, but apparently Kenya is the only country on the entire globe.
Sisi ndo tunakwanga na
out of over 200 countries. Sisi pekee ndo tuko na degree in procurement.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Tafakari hayo.
And now the degree we use it properly.
Tafakari hayo. Kuna mtu kazi yake anaenda tu kusoma kufanya nini?
Procurement. But anyway, you know, the issue of the issue the fact that we are seeing this the whole institution gravitating towards dysfunctioning,
right,
because of failures, because of some issues that we can see. So now it is upon now the government. You know, most of the time people have done whistleblowing, but nothing gets done. Ama anytime you whistleblow, watu wanaenda tayari wana cover up. Buvi amepiga filimbi kwamba kuna hiki kinaendelea hapa, wanaanza kutafuta nao njia za
kufunika.
Yes. So by the time mkuja hapo mnapata kumbe hii ishakuwa corrected, but something is happening. So me I don't like this issue of later us being told that hii ilifanyika like what you have just said about the super highway.
Yes.
The Mombasa, is it what do we call it, expressway?
You know, there's this theory and it's very true, by the way. It's not just a theory. Whistleblowers by they who are wanateseka sana after wamesha whistleblow, unless you do it anonymously. But someone who is well known as a whistleblower is not necessarily celebrated. Why? You're looked upon as a snitch, and even your market value in terms of employability diminishes.
Of course.
Your colleagues in the office start looking at you in a different way. Patricia manze, ulisikia Patricia venye alisema juu ya mbuvi? Ebu kaini kando na Patricia, msimwambie siri zenu, huyu atawapeleka mbele. So even in the office unapatanga tu you are being secluded. Unakuwa tu secluded kivyako. Watu wakienda lunch hawaendi na wewe. Watu wakienda out on Fridays, ukiuliza watu ati leo Friday kuna happen, wanakuambia
hakuna kitu,
hata naenda nyumbani. Only for you to find them at the club enjoying themselves. It's because they are avoiding you. Other companies don't want to hire you because they're like, huyu anaweza kuja hapa atoboe siri zetu.
Yeah, that is now the perception that people usually have. And again, most of the time in our country, we are politicizing everything. Anytime this is a genuine whistleblowing, clearly there is something that is happening. But then now, because people do not want to get a solution to that problem, what they do is now they start politicizing that. No, huyu unajua na kwanga saidia, huyu ako saidia mtu fulani, huyu ametumwa tu kuja kuvuruga, huyu anatusukuma tusifanye kazi.
The only whistleblowers in this world that survive and they do a very good job is the media. Because many times you will even go to the office of the ombudsman or EACC. Na wendo useme ni aje, I know of this crime happening somewhere and I want to report. And you tell them, wanakuuliza nani? Wanataka kureport nani? Patricia. Amefanya nini? Patricia ana embezzle funds, okay? Kampuni gani? Radio Generation. Sawa. Embezzle kama how much hivi? Patricia ni kama amevuka na 100 million. Sawa. Askari wanakukujia, wanakuambia Patricia, tunajua uko na 100 million umekuwa ukiba kutoka Radio Generation. So two things. Either tukushike tukupeleke ndani ama utugawie. Na sana sana inakuanga kugawi?
Gawa.
Media tu ndio itakuja ikumulike na iseme Patricia Wayua of Radio Generation has been embezzling 100 million monthly from Radio Generation, and that's the only way tutaona Patricia ameshikwa, amepelekwa EACC, amepelekwa kotini.
Yes. And again sometimes hata pia asifike hiyo kotini pia. Pia
anaweza ama afike 10 years later, kesi inaendelea kidogo usikie judge siku moja amesema hakuna evidence. Anyway, we need to get into the news. Of course, Winnie Maganga is coming through. When we do return in the next hour, we shall be having our guest letting you know the conversation that is supposed to be taking shape and place. Radio Gen KE is where you will find us. Engage with us. Let us know your thoughts on the things that we discuss here. Meanwhile, don't go too far. We will be right back.
It's 7 o'clock.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale has ordered a security overhaul at the Kenyatta National Hospital. This follows what he termed as systems failure at KNH, which led to the tragic death of Edward Maingi Ndegwa. Addressing journalists at hospital on Monday, Duale described the incident as unacceptable and extended the ministry's condolences to Ndegwa's family. Duale directed all national referral hospitals to conduct a full security audit and implement corrective measures. The CS acknowledged growing public concern over safety in public health institutions, saying the ministry is taking immediate action to address systematic lapses.
What happened at Kenyatta Hospital is unacceptable. It exposed systems vulnerabilities that must be addressed, and that's why we are here. And on behalf of the Ministry of Health, I really want to extend my condolences to Mr. Edward's family and loved ones. So we are going to introduce in all our referrals, which the CEOs will communicate from today. Number one, by making sure we have upscaled our CCTV coverage in all places and more so in sensitive areas.
Police Constable Clinzy Masinde Baraza has denied murder charges in connection with the fatal shooting of mask vendor Boniface Kariuki Mwangi. This was during his arraignment at the Milimani Law Courts on Monday. Baraza is accused of killing Kariuki on June 17, 2025 in broad daylight outside Imenti House along Moi Avenue in Nairobi. Baraza pleaded not guilty before High Court Judge Lilian Mutende. The case will be mentioned again on August 19th for a ruling on the bond application. The United Opposition Coalition has formally petitioned the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, demanding swift action against what it describes as escalating police brutality, targeting opposition leaders and supporters during recent protest and political engagements. In a statement shared via X on Monday, July 28, 2025, the opposition accused the police of acting with impunity and violating constitutional protections on peaceful assembly and political expression. The coalition said the petition seeks an independent investigation into alleged harassment, unlawful arrest, and excessive use of force by security officers. Here is DAPK party leader Eugene Wamalwa.
And the police are being used actually to create a state of fear and terror in the country. We have a reign of terror, and the police are the ones being used.
It's a matter of great concern to me. As a former chair of IBC, I think I don't like where it's going. It's going to get bad. A clergy has denied claims that he performed rituals in the Indian Ocean to clear debts and gain followers in a case where two individuals are accused of conning him. Appearing before the Milimani Law Courts, Nairobi pastor Mark Kamala of a Grace Community Bible dismissed claims that he traveled to Mombasa to perform a ritual in the Indian Ocean to erase debts and attract a cult-like following. He told the court that he was instead the victim of a spiritual scam that cost him 700,000 Kenya shillings. The prosecution noted that according to the statement filed at Gigiri Police Station, the accused persons, Anastasia Wanjiru Chege and Benjamin Mageche, had promised to use supernatural powers to erase pastor's debts and increase his congregation. There is a real starvation in Gaza, Donald Trump has said, after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu insisted there was no such a thing. Asked if he agreed with Netanyahu that it was a bold-faced lie to say Israel was fueling hunger in Gaza, the US president replied, quote-unquote,
I don't know. Speaking during a meeting with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer in Scotland, Trump expressed concern over the dire situation in Gaza. His comments came after the UN's humanitarian chief said vast amounts of food were needed to stave off starvation.
And the people are screaming for the food, and they're 35, 40 yards away. And they won't let them because they have lines that are set up. And whether they're set up by Hamas or whoever, but they're very strict lines, so we have to get rid of those lines. But we're going to be getting some good, strong food. We can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And you can't fake that.
That's the Truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor!
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Oh, yes, indeed. The home of hard truths and bold insights. My name is Mungala Mbuvi, and this is Radio Generation. Patricia.
Yes,
in
please.
the previous hour, of course, we talked about a lot of things, and we're going to be tackling them in this particular hour as well. In studio, we do have our guest. The conversation is going to take a very interesting turn. So if you have any questions or suggestions, or you have anything to add on as far as the conversation is concerned, we are on social media. You can find us on WhatsApp at Radio Generation, on Facebook as well, Radio Generation Kenya, alafu pale katika Instagram na X unaweza katupata Radio Gen KE.
Almost on all social media platforms, actually it is Radio Gen KE.
Yes.
Of course, Pierre, you can follow us on our website www.rgk.co.ke. There you're gonna get all the news, you're gonna get everything that is happening, and actually we are also live on our website.
Yes, indeed we are. Now, allow me to introduce our guest. He is the Interim Executive Director of Action Aid Kenya. And today we want to explore the impact of diminishing civic freedoms, rising public debt, and of course, inequitable tax systems. So, Samson Orao, a very good morning to you. Welcome to Radio Generation.
Thank you so much, Mbuvi.
Karibu tena sana.
Asante.
We are so honored to have you with us.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is all mine.
I'd like to understand. I've been seeing Action Aid everywhere. But I want to understand what Action Aid is all about.
Action Aid is a national NGO that works with women and young people. We are present in 46 countries across the globe. And in Kenya, we've been here since 1972. So works largely with women and young people, supporting them access their rights and be able to be free from poverty and injustice across the world. And so matters on violence against women and girls, matters on women's economic empowerment, women's political leadership, the entire debate around young people and governance, young people and public participation processes, the issues around land, resilient livelihoods and climate justice, and of course, great concerns around shrinking civic and democratic space in our country.
Wow.
So in Kenya, we work in 27 counties.
All right.
Yeah, and we are engaging on work really to ensure that communities living in poverty and exclusion are supported and protected from violations.
For the sake of someone who might be asking, why 27 counties yet we have 47 counties? Why not in every county?
Well, we are increasingly expanding. Again, this also depends a lot on, statistics around the poverty indices, but of course also looking at how we're able to raise more resources to reach every Kenyan. But even as I say that, we also work across a lot with the partners, and so you'd find that even in counties where we are not physically present, there is a partner that we're engaging with at that level who's still able to support our work. So we don't have to be physically there when there are partners and communities who are able to pick that work and continue with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe to start off, having looked at what has been happening in our country right now, what would you say is the state of civic freedom in our country right now?
I think as a nation we're not doing well. And I think it's time that people came and sat down together and that we reasoned through it. We have a very wonderful constitution. We are not observing this constitution. Beginning the 2024 protests, but even before that, actually I would take this back all the way to 2017 when we had the former administration in place led by Uhuru Kenyatta, and we kept hearing about the bodies that would, end up in River Yala and in Ngong Forest and in other places across this country. And we are seeing a lot of repression going on. The abductions, the extrajudicial executions that have been going on, the brutality and the protests that have been there, the space for being bold, the space for civic freedom, the space for Kenyans to vent and talk about issues that concern them has really shrunk. That nowadays, dissent has been criminalized, and that is something which is not what was enshrined in our constitution, that begins the preamble with the people, that gives us freedom of speech, that gives us freedom of assembly. Some of these things are not being observed today. So it's a worrying space for Kenyans, it's a worrying space for CSOs like ActionAid, it's a worrying space for any right-thinking human being, and we really need to have a conversation around it, Patricia.
Someone once said in this country, you have freedom of speech, but not freedom after speech. And you've said we have spaces, for people to just talk and have those dissenting voices. But do we really have that space? Because if we have people who have got to leave this country and start tweeting from abroad so that they can feel safe. We have the likes of, Nelson Amenya, and we have others as well that we might not mention here. We also have the ones who are within this country and they speak out. They have not harmed anyone. They have not attacked anyone. They just speak out and end up either being abducted, or they end up in a body bag, or they end up in a police station where again they end up dead. Do we really have that space?
Movie in our constitution, in the instruments that guide our country, ideally, freedom of speech is there. So in law, it is provided for. What we are seeing is that government does not want to allow then Kenyans to enjoy and exercise their rights as Kenyans, as citizens, as taxpayers of this country. And so people have become quite sensitive that when you speak about and you provide alternative opinion, it is seen as dissent. That when you want to speak about tax, when you want to talk about corruption, when you want to talk about abuse of office, when you want to talk about excesses of government, then the people in power, government feels you're getting under their skin, and so people end up in body bags. We see so many people, so many young people particularly, who've been arrested and who have been charged, with terrorism, and we see others, what's happening in country, what's happening in the region, what happened with our colleagues who crossed over into Tanzania. Boniface Mwangi, for example, Mwabili, just the other day. And so if you look at the entire region, it's what I like calling an unholy alliance of autocrats who go around speaking these issues and ensuring that the entire region is not safe for anybody who wants to express himself.
All right.
So it's a worrying concern. It's a worrying issue. We must engage around it because this kind of trend cannot continue.
When people have that that voice and they speak out, why would anyone be afraid of Patricia today deciding to just go to the streets and say and demand for her rights, demand for justice, speak out against police brutality, call out corruption where it is? Why would anyone get so angry? What is the impact basically of a people being aware of governance and asking for better governance?
The thing for me, even different, reframe your question,
yes,
is that we want to administer this country 2025 with legislation and thinking of 1992 or 1982.
Right.
It doesn't work. It will not work. the young people and majority of Kenyans are complaining about issues that concern them. And that is what we call public participation, which again is in our constitution. People are talking about corruption. They are saying, we are seeing wanton display of wealth, conspicuous display of money, politicians walking around carrying huge sums of notes and throwing it at the public. And these donations and harambes that happen in church every single Sunday out of questionable sources of income. So that's an issue.
Yeah.
We are seeing an increase in tax. The tax burden has come way too high. And so there are all these new levies that you are not able to understand, and you question then why we impose these new levies on Kenyans, and there's no public participation even in the process of taxation. So that's another issue. The debt crisis has also become too high, so that the cost of living is unaffordable today. You struggle, even those of us who are employed. You struggle. Yes. You walk into a supermarket, and by the time you're going to the to the cash register, you're sweating out of the bill that is brought before you. And how many people out here then are sleeping hungry every single day? How many people cannot afford medication? Why are we talking about reduction of capitation for school from 22 to 16,000? Why can't we afford medication in hospital? These are issues that we keep seeing every single day. It's a matter that concerns Kenyans also. We talk about police brutality and the fact that I'm not allowed to express my mind. On the one hand, I am useful when I'm lining up to vote, and so we will celebrate Githeri man for having lined up with his Githeri to come out and vote. Yeah, we'll celebrate huyo jamaa wasina maoni. And then once you are voted into office, then you surround yourself with bodyguards, and they are coming with batons and police gear and tear gas and water cannons against the public. And that remains a matter of concern, because then the question is, at what point then are we Kenyan? Are we Kenyan only when you look for my vote? The moment then you get into office, then I am less a Kenyan than you? We are questioning why first-term MPs are buying houses all over, why governors are allegedly buying houses even abroad, why we are seeing people flying in helicopters, people whose sources of income we know. And we also know how much public service pays. I mean, these are things that we see. So when Kenyans talk about these issues, and then you clamp down hard on them. When Kenyans are saying, when young people are saying that we don't want this digital tax, it doesn't make sense for us that you cannot come and charge us for TikTok, for content that we have created, and there's no single investment you have put, that then you would say it's facilitation. When you want to talk about these things, and then you're not allowed to gather together, you're not allowed to speak about what essentially is your duty, then what are we saying?
Yes.
What are we saying about our laws? What are we saying about the role of Kenyans in public discourse? Yeah.
Well, I think we've come a long way for us to be where we are.
Yeah.
We have seen the demonstrations, the protests that were being done. They were being done out of there's something that Kenyans are agitating for, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Na tumefika pale, tumefika mpaka sasa.
Yes.
So now I want to ask, is there a better way that Kenyans can express themselves?
The better way for me, and first of all, what government needs to do, is to allow people to speak. It cannot be criminal that you express yourself. There are various means for doing this. There are online campaigns, and those online campaigns are very effective. You know, if I were the president, if I were William Ruto today, I would really then, address, first of all, listen. You young people have a problem with me, and you're saying one term, and you're saying must go, and all those things. And Action Aid does not play politics. We are not partisan in any way. We are not apologetic about the fact that we work with women and young people. But at the same time, we also know that we have a civic duty to do what is right in this country. I would speak to the young people and say, what is it? What is a public participation, and real public participation, not cosmetic. I would look at the debt burden and say, what exactly do we need to do then about the debt burden? Should we call for a debt audit? So that we also know all these Euro bonds, Part of the Eurobond arrived in this country, part of the Eurobond ostensibly went to Qatar in some private account. So can we do a debt audit and really get to understand where this money is and who do we owe, for what, where did we borrow it? Can we then look for debt restructuring and speak about these things and say, we are not able to afford this for now for 1, 2, 3, X, Y, Z reasons, then can we do proper debt restructuring? And all that can happen digitally. There's need for a lot of engagement, even with Parliament. The role of Parliament is legislation. The role of Parliament is to also provide checks and balances on the executive and judiciary as well. Can we engage with Parliament? Parliamentarians are representatives of the people. They go through popular vote all the way to the grassroots, and that's the way they rise. Parliament has abdicated its duty, and that is something that we also have to call out. So I would do that as well. I would also seek forums where other generations are also able to come in and speak about what do we need to do to move this country forward. And out of that, then put in reforms. I mean, we're talking about corruption. And we all know, government knows, there's NIS, you have access to intelligence at your disposal, at your beck and call. You'd be able then to address that. Arrest those who are accused of corruption, take them through due process, let them have their day in court, and let them be prosecuted, and those monies recovered, the proceeds of corruption recovered and taken back to the public. And then let's put in place fiscal reforms so that our country begins to work for us. We know that there's a global debt issue. There's a global economic crisis across the world. But we also cannot explain why ours seems to be over the roof and why all of a sudden then the cost of living is way too high. The other thing is that we talk about the multilateral financial institutions, IMF and World Bank, that are insisting on austerity measures, and they're saying cut back on this or cut back on public expenditure and cut back on employment, freeze the hiring of doctors and nurses and teachers, sale of public assets, let's dispose Kenya Power, let's dispose Kenya Airways and so on. But what is in our interest? I haven't seen anywhere in the world the IMF has gone and has put in a restructuring plan which has worked. I haven't seen it. I am not saying we pull out, but we also have to look at what is it that is in the interest of Kenyans. And from there, then we make a decision that is sovereign, that is in our interest, and that helps us work out. So that what is called odious debt that we cannot explain, then there are regulations that are governing the global world around debt and around how do you advance loans. So then what is odious debt is odious debt. We don't take it. And I would rather we get blacklisted for a time, but we take time to recover. Because then if we continue like this, and we're already seeing, we are pushing back, we are killing people, we are shooting them, they are still pouring out on the street. And they are saying, I know I will die, but I am going. It tells you that unless we have this conversation and unless we take measures which are seen, whose evidence we can put on the table, unless we engage, unless we involve the young people, bring them to the table, so it's not cosmetic, we're not solving a problem. We're actually deepening into a crisis. Yeah.
I like the fact that you said the multilateral finance institutions have not provided a framework anywhere around the world that has worked. Yet we keep on going back to them. Yeah. What is our problem then? Because we keep on borrowing these monies from them, knowing very well they're going to give us conditions. They're going to tell us cut back on A, B, C, D. So is it that we do not have enough experts within our own government to advise as well, considering actually some of them have either worked for those MLFs or are willing to go and work there? We even have former CS Matiang'i who just quit his work at the World Bank the other day. So that means we have, I feel and I see we have enough brains. So what's the problem?
The thing is that for a long time we have belonged to these bodies that are not serving our interests. And this is part of geopolitics around the world. And so sometimes then it is right to belong. Sometimes you also want to be how would I put it, in the good books. But again, we are not taking decisions that are in the interest of our country. Some of the proposals that have been pushed down our throats by IMF cannot work. They can't work for Kenya. They haven't worked elsewhere. They're not working in Africa. ActionAid has called out IMF and World Bank in the region, and we have said that part of the proposals they have put, like the austerity measures that they're imposing on us, those austerity measures are not going to help, because the austerity measures that are being imposed on us by IMF and World Bank are particularly on sectors that are affecting public service, gender responsive public service. When you say freeze hiring of teachers and nurses and doctors, the ripple effect of that is going to be huge. You look at the decimation of our education system bit by bit. For me, it's a matter of concern. It's more than just this capitation. It didn't begin yesterday. We haven't had a lot of public participation on education reforms, and the education reforms that have been proposed have been more cosmetic than factual. The question of whether this is in the interest of Kenyans is an issue which has consistently come up. When you look at the entire circus around medical, and you look at, first of all, grand corruption. So you are having HIV/AIDS drugs that you keep in the store and that expire without having been issued. That's one side. With cancer, I can't even begin talking about it. The people who have been carrying money in sacks and so on from cancer, and the inflated procurement, inflated costs, that bit is also there. Our training, that's the other thing that we also need to really ask ourselves, and what it takes.
Training in terms
for
of
us. The medical personnel that we put in place, and whether the kind of medical personnel that we have, first of all, do we have enough? Is it the right need? Is it the right scale?
Okay.
All those are issues that we need to look at.
All right, but the training is okay.
The training content is okay.
Okay.
The numbers then is a matter of question.
I was beginning to think that our doctors are not competent.
The training content is okay.
Okay.
Kenya has some of the best trained medics across the world.
All
I
right.
wonder why we are getting people from Cuba when we have our own who are here.
I was told that is also another procurement.
That's the other thing.
Scam, eh?
That's the other thing.
procurement
So
scam,
then
yeah.
the entire thing, if you look at it, and then IMF saying freeze this and put in place austerity measures and dispose public assets, then the question is, but in whose interest? Until we go back and talk about these loans, the loans that we borrowed, because we borrowed a lot to put it on infrastructure. And we did, I mean, Kibaki did here, Thika Superhighway.
Yeah.
And we saw it, and it's been there since 2002. The kind of debt that we are in today, I think, if my numbers are not wrong, our public debt is at 11.51 trillion as of May 2025. If you look at that debt to GDP, we are at 67%. It's not sustainable. And William Ruto promised when he was campaigning that he would not borrow. And then we are now walking with begging bowls all over. We are engaging with IMF and World Bank, and we are taking these loans. We are going for syndicated loans. We are approaching China to give us loans. All these loans ostensibly are going for infrastructure. But the sectors that are important for us, when you talk about food,
Yes.
and we are hungry. When you talk about water, and when I was growing up, I used to hear of water by 2000. Then it went to water for all by 2020. Then we forgot about that water thing. Now we say we want to clean up Nairobi River. I don't know.
Yeah.
We will wait to see how that works out. We must speak out, and we must take bold decisions, Mbuvi. If
Yeah.
we do not, 2027,
Yeah.
we will not have a country. We can put in place IEBC, we can say we are training with, but until, because it's not machines that take part in these things. It is humans, it is human capital.
Yeah.
Young people are 72% of our population as per the last census.
Yes.
Well, I would like to get your insight about the whole issue of borrowing, the funding that we go borrow outside, the external borrowing. Why do you think as a country we have that big appetite for the external borrowing? And actually not look for options like getting grants that do not necessarily need us to get back that money.
Yeah, as you think about that answer, let's get into the traffic. All right, so we're with Mr. Samson Ora. He's the interim executive director of Action Aid. Na tutawaambia kwa nini amekuja hapa kwa leo, in case you're just tuning in. But also, if you're still in the house and you haven't left and you're planning to get to work, let me just be very honest with you. If you're approaching Lusaka Road, huko Amsongi, Langata Road as well, bumper to bumper right now. Kwanza that one is even bad. Douglas Wakihuri, that is barabara ikitoka kwenda kuconnect kutoka Langata Road inaenda kuingia Bunyala Road, bumper to bumper this particular minute. So that means also if you're on Bunyala roundabout heading into Nairobi CBD, things are not looking good for you at this particular minute, but once you cross that rounder, you're safe. Also another situation that is emerging, let's take a quick look. If you're on Cabanas, hapa ni wapi sasa, acha tuangalie. Kama si hata si Cabanas, shida ni kubwa hapa. If you're coming from Mombasa Road, if you're coming from where is this? If you're coming from the Cabanas overpass, traffic there is very thick, and it's stretching all the way to Emara or Lesereni. That is where things kind of ease out for you, but again, once you rejoin the main road, another problem. So your best bet right now is either use the southern bypass ama upande kule juu expressway. Patricia, what's happening?
Well, I see Thika Road, things are not good, and especially around Garden City Mall, that area there is a lot of traffic. Kutoka hapo all the way mpaka Muthaiga, that area is full of traffic. Pia Kiambu Road, I see there's also a lot of traffic as you head towards joining the Thika Road. Muranga Road, pia naona there's a lot of traffic as you head towards Angara, that the Globe roundabout. Upande wa Kamukunji, I see kutoka City Stadium as you head to town, that area is full of traffic as you get to town. Still Jogoo Road, same spot. I told you there's a renovation taking place, so there's a lot of traffic on that side. Where barabara nyingi hapa naona ziko na a lot of traffic. Embakasi, I see Eastern Bypass, by there a lot of traffic around Embakasi village, that area. Ngong Road, things not quite good as you head towards town, that is around a city mortuary roundabout. Ukienda pia Prestige, there's a lot of traffic there. Junction, a lot of traffic. Tukienda Mombasa, Lights Kengeleni pia, I see things are not good, a lot of traffic there. I think this is a time everybody is still on the streets, on the road, going to work. All
right, so anything on the roads you think we should know about, you know where to find us. Radio Gen KE is where we are.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
All right, so in studio, like I told you, we are with Samson Ora. He's the interim executive director at Action Aid Kenya. Today we are exploring our civic education and of course our finance situation in the country. And Patricia had just asked Mr. Samson here a question to do with our appetite for loans. I'm sure by now you've extensively thought about that answer. Why is Kenya so hungry for loans all over the world?
Kenya is hungry for loans because some of these things are not audited, and so when you take the money, you are giving security, and so the security here is that the country will pay, so it becomes sovereign debt that we will look at, and so everybody then owes whoever we have borrowed money from. The issue around the secrecy of it all, you really never get to know who is it who has borrowed what and how much actually arrived. That's the other bit. The thing about the fact that it's easy to access that, I mean, people would not, there's no foreign government or foreign partner who would want to give you money as grant, and some of the grants are also conditional. Some of the grants that come in, they only come in because then someone wants to do a business, a government wants to do a road, and so on. And the bit around the fact that you're able to profit from it, you can borrow and keep it somewhere, make some money from it, and then from there now is when you send it back into the central bank. So there are, of course, all those questions around. So where is public participation in this discussion, and how do we involve the public in knowing when do we borrow, who are we borrowing from, and for what use do we take this money?
You know, when you talk of public participation, the form of public participation that we know in our country is not really working. It's not really working. So I know you've been calling about public participation in everything you're saying.
Actually,
public
the word is non-existent.
Yeah, it is, because the formal one that we know, the systems are not
structured
working.
like that. It is deliberately structured like that for it not to work, for it to be cosmetic, you know. And so that then you do not involve Kenyans. Call a few of your cronies, pay them, let them sign, and claim we did public participation around it. Do only public participation areas that you know favor you, you know, and you do sampling. You do scattered sampling across the country, bring a few people and claim we did public participation. We have seen where proper public participation hasn't been done, especially when it comes to legislation. The courts have always sent back that legislation to the public. And government has not been very happy, and judiciary has been accused of many things, including siding with forces of evil, quote unquote, like many politicians in government today like putting it. But our laws provide for public participation. Before any major legislation is put in place, is enacted, there has to be public participation around it. I think even as much as we struggle and as much as we have our, you know, opinions around judiciary, so far it remains Kenya's last bastion of hope. We do not have politicians in government today who want to work in the interest of Kenyans, and would really need to see how we're able to support and how we're able to, if it's capacity building, if it's training, whatever it is that is required. And that's why government is getting a lot of bashing, and government isn't listening then to this bashing. I mean, we have buried our heads in the sand, and you have seen Kenyans being told you will pay, mutalipa mupende musipende. These things have been used. We have seen threats around, we will shut down the internet. These things have been said in this country by people in the ruling, you know, I'm not even sure if it's coalition, broad-based, whatever it is today. We have seen those kinds of threats being said against Kenyans. We have seen force being used, raw, brute force being used against Kenyans, and we have seen that taking place. And when I talk about Parliament, both Senate and the National Assembly, the politicians from across the divide who have come out and sided with the public have been termed traitors. And so then Parliament has gone ahead, even when the finance bill was very unpopular in 2024, and the entire public was saying, do not pass this bill, let us talk about it, give it time. Parliament went ahead and passed it. When the president called members of Parliament and said, I have now decided to withdraw the bill, the same MPs were clapping and saying, you've done a very good thing, this thing was bad, but they passed it. So you see, then it makes you worry about what is the kind of parliament that we have today. What is the crop of politicians in the National Assembly particularly, and also in the Senate that we have today. So those two arms of government then remain a worry for majority of Kenyans. And so even with the challenges that have been there in the judiciary, and I know that Chief Justice Martha Koome was accused of many things, especially when that attack on the courts happened. She said it was terrorism, and then people were asking, I mean, what is the difference between protest, arson, destruction of property, and terrorism? I mean, at what stage then do we graduate this, and what do our laws say around terrorism? But even amidst all that, even amid some of the confidence issues with judiciary, majority of the judicial officers are still serving and serving appropriately. And whenever things have gone to court, they have been prosecuted. They've had their day in court. The judges have pronounced themselves, and it has been most of the times satisfactory for Kenyans. So we really still have to work very hard to protect that bit which still remains.
Well, we keep on saying that we have freedom. Our constitution gives us a freedom maybe to speak out when we are dissatisfied and so forth. And again, we are talking of the shrinking civic space in our country. But then now there are some agents, there are some bodies that are supposed to give us that right, which is from our constitution. And first of all, for them to serve us that right, that freedom, themselves, they must also be free. Do you think these government agencies are free?
Patricia, that is an issue that is obvious in the public, and that we have consistently seen a continuous weakening of bodies that are supposed to hold government accountable. And it stems from many things. It's from appointments. How do you appoint people who lead these bodies? How do you appoint boards of these bodies? What budgets do you provide for these bodies for them to be able to do their duties? And how do you allow then these bodies to do what is right? KNCHR, for example, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, which is the body, the public body, a public body that is enshrined in our constitution, that is supposed to provide checks and balances and report on the human rights situation in the country. It's a government body. There have been a lot of attacks against KNCHR, even by people in government. KNCHR, this year's budget is about 500 million Kenya shillings. I mean, you wonder that with that kind of allocation of all the state bodies and state corporations, KNCHR has the least budget, you know. And so then you would see a deliberate plan, a well-crafted plan to ensure that this body is not able to carry out its mandate. And whereas KNCHR has done what it could do under the circumstances, it's still a far cry of what really needs to happen. Repeatedly, we have also seen similar bodies, people being very careful about what kind of statements they want to make, and perhaps even allowing only, senior government officials to be able to speak, because then you ask yourself on questions like IPOA, for example, with all this police brutality, IPOA says the investigations are always going on. The question the public has had is, then where are the prosecutions? How many of the investigations have been completed? And how many people have been taken to court? And how many have been prosecuted and have had their day, with the court making a determination whether they are guilty or not? But again, that bit is there. So again, the question of who do you appoint to some of these bodies? So it's a deliberate mechanism to weaken these institutions, and all these things have continued to happen. The threats which have been going on, that if you do this, then we will terminate, we will not employ you, we will not, because previously then we would hear of government of shareholders. You vote for us, you get appointed. You don't vote for us,
Jipange.
Yeah, Jipange. But you pay tax as a Kenyan. You hold a Kenyan identity. All your Kenyan documents, born and bred here. And then when you are told that you did not vote for us and therefore you do not serve, you do not get any of the basket. Hii ni serikali ya wale watu ambao walichagua sisi. Those kinds of things. Then it makes you question then the honesty of politicians around some of these things that we discussed today. So we must come back. We must bring ourselves. We are on the brink. It's not too far gone, but we are on the brink. We need to pause and pull ourselves from the brink.
There's this situation about corruption, and it seems like it's one of those things that are plaguing this country. And since independence,
it's a cancer.
Yeah, since independence, this cancer has been, choking us for a very long time. President Moi spoke about it. President Kibaki spoke about it. President Uhuru spoke about it. Kwanza yeye alienda deep down akatuambia 2 billion inapoteanga daily. And here we do have, I feel like President Ruto doesn't even mention corruption anywhere. But we can see it. We know it. Every time we hear ghost schools receiving billions of shillings. We hear ghost workers receiving billions of shillings. And we ask ourselves, at what point will Kenya ever get to a serious point to discuss corruption? Because I feel like if we can just seal that one loophole and then deal with the wastage, we can have at hizi taxes tunashindanga tukiekelewa zitakuwa. I don't know what your thoughts are on
Movie, I would address it on two fronts. First, I would address it from a government front. We will slay the dragon called corruption, and it's been there. We've talked about it, like you say. Successive administrations have spoken about it. It has been lip service. Like you rightly say, the president today, President William Ruto, did not make a commitment on corruption. It wasn't even in his manifesto. It was not something he said he would fight. So I never get surprised when he doesn't fight it, because he didn't commit to it. And so from a government side, until we are bold enough to address the grand corruption that is in government, until we are able to address procurement, until we are able to address inflated tenders, until we are able to address ghost workers who earn ghost salaries and, like you say, ghost schools, until we are able to do that and jail a few people, then we will still keep talking about this for the next 100 years. And some of the people who associate with the current government and some of the politicians, we have seen even corruption from the region. Some of the compatriots have been accused of corruption, but we see them in the country. We've heard of people who were blocked at airports for having carried large sums of cash. You question, where was this cash coming from? It's currency, hard money, so those kinds of things. So that's one side. The other side is that we also have to stop being corrupt as Kenyans.
Okay. Now the citizens.
The citizen, the public. We look at the police and, the police roadblocks are mobile ATMs. The police stop you and they don't even check the vehicle. Una exchange 50 ama so, and then you walk away, right? And it keeps happening for every vehicle.
Yeah.
And the way we also brag about it, that nilikutana naye, nilimkanja, I gave them some little money and they let me go.
Yeah.
You want to do that? Wacha ndamona ndakupea kachai. We imagine that it's a smart thing to do, but it also stems from us because it's a two-way traffic. There's mega grand corruption which is happening in government, which we all see.
Yeah.
But there's also this corruption. There's no petty corruption. Corruption is corruption.
Corruption, yes.
So there's also this corruption that also takes place among us, among the citizens, that we also have to be bold enough to say, this is wrong. I'm not giving a bribe. I'm not, tipping you for doing this. I'm not, because public service is public service. Whatever is due for me, I am supposed to do it.
But sometimes I'm not condoning it.
Yeah.
I'm not condoning this whole corruption issue. But sometimes you can be so frustrated in a government office.
It's deliberate movie. It is structured to frustrate you so that you give.
Yeah. And 500 shillings is
a difference between you and an ID or a passport.
So and it is mpaka mtu anakuuliza ni nini wewe ni fala bana. Si upatie tu Samson ile yake uone ukipata hiyo passport by saa 8 leo.
And you see,
and you've been going to the same office for months. But the moment unawasalimia Samson ile ndio umeambiwa msalimie,
you get it the following day.
Suddenly you have a passport and you're like, why was I suffering?
Yes.
Samson just needed 5 Gs.
Yes. If we're able to speak about these things, because the only corruption that we see is when it takes place on a huge scale. You just need to walk down here to immigration. Forget even about immigration. Go to your local registrar to be able to get a birth certificate. Uone kama hakuna ile karatasi ya kuiprint, ama the typist is not there for the day, or the typewriter has broken down.
Yes.
And then someone says, ukitaka, I can help you. Yeah. And you produce 700 shillings and miraculously the typewriter is working.
The other day, this report from Transparency International about corruption and the people who are so vulnerable, especially the young people. In this aspect of employment, just the other day, kumekuwa na nafasi za kazi.
Yeah.
Na katika kila nafasi, unasikia kwamba hii ilikuwa inaenda na 400. hii inaenda na 300. Okay, in that case, what are these, especially the young people, like somebody is desperate, the rate of unemployment is so high, they want to get employed. But now, the people wenye wamekalia zile nafasi, those who are able to facilitate this, ndio watu ambao wana push corruption. So I want to understand, like, how are we able to end this? Saizi mtu wa matatu akikamatwa kwa barabara, anaendesha gari ama tuseme tu gari, wanasemanga mbele ya polisi kila gari inakuanga na makosa. Hata iwe umetoa kwa showroom that specific day, ukifika pale iko na makosa. Like, how are Kenyans supposed to live in such kind of a situation?
I know a young man from the village in Siaya, where so the recruitment of AP, the administration police,
yes,
and the recruiters asked him for 320,000, right? And so this young man took his father's cows and went and sold them so that he's able to raise his money, because then with employment, ostensibly you're able to replace, ostensibly it's for longer, so it's sustainable. And so this is what was demanded, and so he paid that, and he came in, and he still ran, and he still lost, and the money went. He didn't get the job.
It's
sad.
Yeah.
This young man was thrown into poverty. They had sold all their assets. The cows that were a source of livelihood wasn't there anymore. And his old man ended up committing suicide because they had a lot of hope. You've taken this young person all the way to university. You've paid a bribe, which they justified. And if you look at them in their desperation, someone was taking advantage of them. And they still never got, even after having bribed their way into it. That kind of scenario faces Kenyans every single day, where you are torn between impossible life choices. You are torn between, if I do this, I can bribe to get a bursary. I can bribe my way. And nowadays you hear, to get unemployment in a county, it starts from this much, and you're told we'll start it from 200,000. Kama huna 200,000, hatusijaribu. So you already do not even try. So we're already putting a price, and even with that 200,000, it isn't guaranteed. But how many people can afford 200,000 out here when you're looking for employment?
Yeah.
We are pushing Kenyans into desperation, and we are making the cost of living way too high that people then cannot afford it anymore. We have to engage, and we have to come back and begin from saying no. You know, if the president was committed, nothing against government, but if the president was committed in fighting corruption and leading from the top, the others would follow suit.
Yeah.
It would toe the line. Everything would fall into place.
There's a question. Yeah.
If people keep saying that you're telling me not to give 50 shillings, that's a dilemma that Kenyans find themselves in. You're telling me not to give 50 shillings. But the bribe for a cop has since increased from 50 to 100 shillings minimum. You're telling me not to give 100 shillings. You're telling me not to pay kanjo, bribe them kanjo for this. But I'm not able to get what is due for me. So Kenyans then begin moralizing this issue. Which one is a lesser evil? Do I not get medication? Do I not get insurance?
Yeah.
Do I not get this job because I want to be morally correct? But you who is telling me, yet we are seeing that MP. We know he was accused. We know he has the latest model vehicles that he imported and freighted them in via air. And we all know this fellow never went to school. We all know this fellow hasn't done anything. There's no business. Kenya produces billionaires. You are asking yourself, where's industry in this country? You don't see it. But we are dollar billionaires out here, and there's the economy, the investment, the production is not evident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this question about, how does the current tax and debt policy disproportionately impact low-income informal sector workers, women and youth in Kenya?
I could just list so many things, Mbuvi.
Yes.
And I wrote a few down.
Right.
You know, with debt, it means you're freezing many other sectors. And so little money then is available for development. And that means many things.
Yeah.
You can't fund your response programs. And so when you cut back on healthcare, there are ripple effects to that. Gender-based violence against women obviously is going to increase, teenage pregnancies and so on. When you cannot invest in production, there's limited employment opportunities, and so young people are thrown into unemployment. That bit is there.
Yes.
The overtaxation and so on means there's poor quality of services as well, and that has got its own ripple effect. Public sector wage bills, then when you freeze that, again, that means other limited job opportunities, undermining civic programs, underfunding of SRHR, increased inequalities, economic injustice, shrink. There are so many things. Women's unpaid care burden that keeps coming up. You know, when you look at these, reduced support for resilient livelihoods, then many people are thrown into poverty. Many people then cannot afford. It rained here the other day.
Yes.
May last year, and you saw what happened in Madare, you know, and we could not, there was no government response. Response was left to civil society for it to come in.
And Eric Omondi.
And Eric Omondi to come in and now be the one to, can Kenyans do changa? So we are, Kenyans are generous, tutachanga. But tunachanga hadi lini, and tunachanga at the point when there is supposed to be infrastructure that is supposed to address these things. And tunachanga when we took money to buy boats, and we took money to buy tents, and we took money to buy food and non-food items that we were preparing for the flooding, which we had foreseen. Tunachanga when we couldn't invest in infrastructure, and when meteorology said there's going to be El Nino, and we called the meteorology director and said, apologize. You are misleading Kenyans. I mean, these are things that we really have to look at. A lot more people are pushed into poverty.
Right.
We have a very limited buffer for emergencies, and we can't respond when emergency comes up. Regressive taxation, you're talking about VAT on fuel, VAT on what, all these things. These kinds of policies.
They just emanate from this whole tax situation.
It's a crisis. It's a crisis, Mbuvi. It's a crisis. These things, we look at them from a surface level, but if you look at it deeper, if you really choose to go deep into it and introspect, the ripple effect of that is just way too high. The increased cost of living as a result of debt, because then I'm spending a lot of repayment. I think 1.448 trillion every year goes into debt repayment. And out of that, 1 trillion is interest. Yes.
We are
1
paying
trillion is interest.
$1 trillion in interest.
Interest. That's why we need to do a debt audit to understand whose money did we take and where did it go.
Is it possible?
The 11 trillion, we should see that 11 trillion somewhere.
We are not seeing it.
We can't see it.
We have about 2 minutes before we leave. I'd like to understand, is it possible for us to govern ourselves, whichever government is in power, without taking a loan?
It's possible.
Yeah.
We just need to do our things right. We must do a lot of reforms, and this requires policy reforms. I'll speak about 3 items. One, we must do a debt audit to understand this debt. I've spoken about that in detail, so I will not delve too much into it. We need to do a debt restructuring and say maybe not. We may not be able to afford it, and so we decide and say, can we restructure this debt? Banks allow it, and so it's a conversation that we need to have on the international scale.
Okay,
we must have transparent borrowing as well. We need to broaden the tax base. There are people who we have given tax incentives. There are people who do not pay tax. And we are saying they're investing, and therefore, remember that merger, NCBA merger thing, that was $1 billion shillings something. Then we said we are waiving. I know the process went to court and so on. that bet is there. But you can imagine $1 billion shillings that is sunk into the economy. That would be a lot of money.
Of course.
We must invest in public processes so that we're able to diversify our exports as well. A lot of our income is still agriculture, and even when you talk about agriculture, it's basically raw materials, so we also have to diversify our export base and invest in sectors that then would allow money to come into the economy that creates employment and so on. That way we'll be able to pull ourselves out of it. And final point,
right,
tackle corruption. If we don't address corruption, even amidst all these measures,
we are still doing
done.
Thank you so much, Samson. And for that conversation. For me, I've just learned so much, and I like the fact that every time we have a guest here, I'm learning new stuff and new ways, perhaps. And even when I want to engage in a conversation that is driving this country forward, at least I have a few points now I can contribute. Like that whole issue of tax, I think I've been educated. And perhaps if you do not mind, siku nyingine njoo, we just talk about the tax regime in this particular
I'm
country.
interested in the public debt audit.
Right. That was,
thank you so much.
Yes, that is actually not was, but that is Samson Orao. He's the interim executive director of Action Aid Kenya. We are taking a short break to get into the news, but when we return, we do invite our next guests to talk about governance in this country. So don't go too far. We will be right back.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. A Kenyan man who spent more than 10 years behind bars for manslaughter in Saudi Arabia has finally returned home. Stephen Munyako arrived at the JKIA on Tuesday morning, marking the end of a long and emotional journey that nearly ended in execution. Munyako, who had been sentenced to death following a 2011 conviction for murder, arrived from Jeddah to a warm welcome from his family, the Foreign Affairs Principal Secretary Koril Singoei, and members of Bring Back Stivo Strategy Committee. He was released from Shimeisi prison in the governorate of Mecca on July 22, 2025, after the requirements of a judicial decree were fulfilled. Speaking briefly after his arrival, Munyako said, "I'm glad to be back home in Kenya." Kenya is strategically positioning itself as a regional hub for cancer care, treatment and innovation. According to Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, Mudavadi stated the gravity of cancer crisis, revealing that Kenya records over 44,000 new cancer cases annually. Mudavadi emphasized that cancer should not be viewed from a medical point of view, but also as a matter affecting the country's social economic spheres. He was speaking during the official opening of the second National Cancer Summit in Nairobi.
For this reason, we must approach cancer not as a health issue alone, but as a national development priority that requires a multi-sectoral and multi-stakeholder approach. If we are to meaningfully address cancer, then all sectors, not just the health sector, must come on board.
Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba has called on members of parliament and stakeholders to engage constructively in public debate surrounding education financing. Speaking at public engagement, CS Ogamba clarified that the Ministry of Education has not proposed or implemented any reduction in capitation funding for learners, contrary to claims circulating in some quarters. The CS emphasized the importance of responsible messaging, noting that the misinformation can cause unnecessary public anxiety.
We will look for the money to ensure that no parent is required to pay any money towards that free primary, free secondary education. That is the position. It's not changed. That position has not changed. It is a fact. It's been there, and we're going to continue ensuring that we fulfill that obligation that is a constitutional obligation. We are supposed to send 22,000, and that's what we are working towards.
Environment conservationists are pushing for the prioritization of sustainable restoration of rangelands in arid and semi-arid lands. This is meant to cushion these regions from the effects of extreme weather conditions. Speaking in a 2-day rangelands restoration forum in Nairobi, National Environment Management Authority Director General Mamo Boru says community-led restoration programs are being supported and implemented in arid and semi-arid areas under 4-year National Child Project Program.
Recover as we move to other areas. We want to build communities with resilience, climate change resilience. Communities which can continuously enjoy the benefits of the environment as well as giving it back to the environment.
Rwandan President Paul Kagame has called on African nations to tap into the transformative power of sports across the continent, highlighting the economic potential of sports. President Kagame cited statistics showing that sports-related activities across Africa generate tens of billions of dollars annually. He called on leaders at all levels to encourage active participation in this sector so that more Africans can benefit from its growth. Kagame was speaking at the official opening of Zaria Court, an event that also marked a key moment in the week-long Giants of Africa Festival in Kigali, Rwanda on Monday.
It does a lot. It has already done it. It's not just the future. And I think many people here and beyond see it for what it is. They've already seen the benefits when we talked about the numbers in terms of employment in this area of sports. When you talk about what, for example, the arena, the stadium, and it's already happening. People are taking notice of that and counting and knowing that it has employed so many, it has brought in so much.
And that's the Truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor!
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Oh, yes, indeed. 88.8 in Nairobi, 90.7 in Mombasa, and of course, 89.5 in Garissa. It is Radio Generation. My name is Mungala Mbuvi, and this is the People's Breakfast.
Radio Gen KE, that is on our social media platforms, that is on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, and even on X platform. If you want to follow us on our Facebook page, Pia, it is at Radio Generation Kenya. Imagine we are live and direct there. Kienda pale utaona Mbuvi alisema kona koti nyingine hapo. Amazing.
Cashmere. Yes.
So
you know what
see,
cashmere is? Yeah, cashmere is a very expensive wool.
I know. Yeah. So
that's what I'm wearing today.
Yeah. I once had a friend who does shopping.
Right.
In France. Like nguo zake zote ni France.
Sasa kama anafanyanga shopping za nguo France, inafaa kuwa ni France.
Yeah.
France.
So
you remember when we had Mr. Philip Itali here, ODM Communications Director.
Yes.
Alituambia pia nguo zake, shati zake zote
zinatoka,
I think alisema Italy.
Is it
kama
Italy?
Si Italy ni France.
One of those places, and of course they are known for their good
quality.
Yeah,
material.
Quality fashion shirts.
Nani alisema hapa our cow skin and animal skin sio fashionable?
Well, it is. By the way, it is. If you look at most of the time, it is actually.
Yeah.
It is. And the other day the EPZ.
Yeah.
Niliona watu wapendi manguo ya kutoka EPZ. By the way, you people, you do not want to
watu
support.
Wagani?
Wakenya
Watu
wengi
wagali.
sana. Kenyans, they will tell you, I would rather go for mtumba. I don't want to go for these clothes that are done at EPZ and so forth. Yet we are the ones who are supposed to support this industry.
Where do you think the Versaces and the Gucci's are made and the Balenciagas? They're actually made here in Kenya, EPZ. And if you think I'm lying, guys, just go Google. Do a simple research and see. Some of these clothes that unaenda mnauzua zinarudi zinapiga kona.
Zilitoka hapa kwenu.
Zinakuja Kenya, unaenda unapatiwa shati moja at 55,000.
Na ilitoka hapa kwenu.
My friend, ilitengenezwa na Wanjiko hapa EPZ.
Na ikienda majuu inaenda napewa value because it is a foreign country.
I actually have a friend who works in these industries. Many of them ziko hapa Mavoko sub-county in Machakos. And they actually these expensive shirts you're seeing people wearing here. Unaangalia TV hivi unaona anaitwa nani, Jay-Z amevaa, unaona Kanye West amevaa, Kim Kardashian amevaa. Wanazitengeneza hapa. Ni venye sasa they go up there, or rather they are made here and branded here,
and then they are
packaged,
exported.
They are packaged in a special way, then exported. Zikifika huko kwa maduka Macy's ama hizi maduka kama kina Balenciaga, kina Fat Farm nini,
they brand them.
Now they become they're even branded here.
From here. No, I mean now they brand them in terms of now the value, because of the goodwill and the brand name.
You will be shocked. Zile nguo kina Kanye wanavaa. Okay, Kanye.
Toka hapa kwetu Kenya.
I kid you not. Me, I'm telling you, I have a friend. And if you also want to do another small experiment, Nenda Food Plus, especially if you live along Mombasa Road.
Yes.
Signature Mall. Food Plus, the supermarket inside, they have a boutique. Let me call it a boutique. They have a boutique where they're selling clothes. Go check out those clothes. Quality, awesome. And they're made across the road. Signature Mall, ukivuka barabara, kuna Mavoko Business Park.
Yes.
Zinashonwa hapo.
Yes. Yeah, so but we need to appreciate what we do.
Yeah.
In terms of textile.
Yes.
It means that we are good.
We are good.
Shida tu ni ikishaenda kule ikirudi. Kenyans ndio sasa unataka kununua at that cost. But again, I also saw after wametengeneza, after they are done, that is when after washa export, kuna zile zinabakingi, hizo ndo unaona wanatutolea huku nje tununue.
Yes. I mean, it is what it is. And you really can't get away from that. It's just about how you value your brand. Anybody, even you can start your own clothing brand right now and sell it at ridiculous amounts. And guess what? People will buy. There's something called the Chivas Regal effect. Yeah. So Chivas Regal effect. First of all, Chivas Regal is a whiskey drink, and kitambo sana. I can't remember how long ago. It wasn't really given that. Ilikuanga imepatiwa value.
That much value.
Yes. So people considered it just like any other drink.
Yeah.
Until one day, Chivas Regal disappeared from the market. Then when they came back, they gave their products a premium price. Okay? And premium price, I'm talking about 7,000, 8,000 and above. Actually, their cheapest whiskey at the time was about 6,000. Remember, this is a drink that was being sold for about 1,000 or less.
Initially.
Then when they came back, first of all, they rebranded in terms of packaging. Package ikakuja kiwa safi, wakaeka boxes zinakaa sijui aje. Then they started giving their products very very beautiful what do I call it, literature on the bottling. Then suddenly they started selling it for 7,000, 8,000, 9,000. Right now si watu wengi wanaweza afford Chivas Regal.
So in short, basically, apart from those few things that they did on the product, the issue here is the perception. Actually, branding is all about
it is actually an effect that is now recognized. It is called the Chivas Regal effect. So Chivas Regal effect, even a phone can have that effect.
Yes.
And I'll give you a very good example. I don't know if you remember Tecno. The phone.
Yes.
Venye ilianza. Tecno walianza kufanya cloning ya simu za Nokia kitambo sana.
Yes.
Ungeenda kununua simu ya Nokia, lakini unapata si Nokia, unapata ni Tecno. Why? Because it has the look and feel of a Nokia phone.
Yes.
But the software on the inside wasn't a Nokia phone. And even the quality of the hardware wasn't Nokia.
Different, yes.
Yes. But over time, they started making different kinds of products. And then what did they do? They gave them a premium price. And that is how Tecno is the kind of phone it is today.
Right now.
Right now, I think you can get any kind of Tecno from 10,000 all the way to even 100,000, depending on the specs you're looking for. Another phone that also had a similar effect is their small sister, or is it small brother, called Infinix. Infinix, Siko Baya, was a very useless brand. It was a
initially.
Yes, it had very bad software, it had very bad hardware. Nikasimu kalikuwa kakianguka hivi ni hivyo. Kanaanguka unapata SMS huko, unapata WhatsApp huko, unaona picha zako zimeanguka the other side. But right now, Infinix is actually a force to reckon with. Yes, and it comes within, it's inside the brand, it's actually an inside brand of Tecno. So they learned the Shivas Regal effect, and now look at where they are.
Well, so even for those people outside there, you're doing business.
Yeah.
By the way, sometimes it's not doing quite well. You can step back, rethink, give your product that effect.
Rejig it a bit.
Yes, and then you come back to the market.
Right.
Yeah, you realize that you come back to the market, maybe the reception will be a bit different, but it is the same material. It's only that you've improved on a few areas.
Yes.
And of course, you have given it that effect. You've given it a new look. Yeah.
Hata wewe unaweza jipatia hiyo Shivas Regal effect.
Of course, yes.
How
Even
do you
as
do
an
it?
individual, yes.
Clean yourself up.
Sema potea kidogo.
Potea kidogo, but clean yourself up.
Yes.
Polish your language kidogo. Anza kuongea kizungu.
Yes.
Anza kuenda places zenye watu wenye wako na pesa wanaendanga. Eventually you'll meet someone in that particular area.
Yeah.
And before you know it, also upgrade your price.
Yeah.
Kama umekuwa ukifanya services zako na 2,000, anza kuuza services zako na 20,000.
Kwa 20 Gs.
Because mimi ukikuja kama unataka a particular service, na for example, I am an MC. If today I come to you and I tell you I will charge you 10,000 for your event, unajua utaniangalia zile za mbuvi. Yet I'm doing a very good job. But utashangaa mbuvi 10,000, how? But if I charge you 300,000, now we can negotiate. Because you'll be like, enyewe, that makes sense. That is the Shivas Regal effect. You might be having a very good product, lakini pia venye unai price watu wataishuku. Watashanga, Patricia anatulipisha 12,000. And
atakuja kweli.
Na tumeongea na Winnie Maganga, Winnie anatuambia 50. Twende na Winnie. See it because Winnie is better than you. It's just
you undervalued.
Your pricing kidogo, it looks fake. Siko baya. Yeah. But if Winnie says 50, then you say 70, they'll be like, okay, it kind of makes sense. You know, then now you can negotiate with them. Mwambie fanyeni hivi, mimi nitawapatia ka discount, chukueni 60.
Yeah.
It's all about the Shivas Regal effect.
Yes, and it really, it can work, and it works. So to our industries, EPZ doing good work, good job, placing our country up there in the scale.
Yeah.
Endeleeni kufanya hiyo kazi.
We are waiting on our guests, 2 of them actually. One of them is a party leader. The other one is a leader already. He's actually an MCA. We're hoping they will get here. If they don't, well, the conversation we wanted to have is Kenya on the edge? Is Kenya on the edge?
Mungala, I'll take you back kidogo from the conversation that we had.
Right.
About the auditing of the public debt. Like I really am looking forward to that one day, that as a country we will accept to sit down. Do you know most of the projects that Kenya has been doing, they are never transparent. You never understand what really happened to this. Then now problem tunakujanga kusikiza vitu baadaye when things are already messed up.
Nikwambia ukweli, hiyo audit tunangojea kufanya haitaweza kufanyika. You know me, I like being the devil's advocate.
Okay.
Because if we are being realistic, and we need to be realistic, almost every single person in leadership right now,
yes,
elected or otherwise, has been involved in the eating of this money. Yeah. They have been involved in the eating of that money, of that 11 trillion that Mr. Samson just mentioned here. Why am I saying this? Even the previous governments, all the way from President Kibaki. Actually, we can even go a bit further. All the way from President Moi. They have been chewing our cash. They have been chewing our taxes. So who will accept to be audited? Forget the previous presidents. Actually, the only previous president now we have alive is President Uhuru. Kama already tumeona kuna scandal ya expressway. Do you think that is a conversation that family will want to have? To
Well,
be audited?
Okay, yeah, of course, that they will not want that.
Aye.
But again, we are auditing because this debt is not about a family.
Who do you think
this
is going
debt,
to audit? Wait,
look here.
who do you think is going to audit?
This is a debt about a country.
Who? I'm asking you a question because you're talking about a very, very ideal situation.
Yes.
And we are not dealing in an ideal, we are not living actually in an ideal world. Wewe nikuulize ni nani atafanya authorization ya hiyo auditing?
We have the auditor general.
Sasa huyo auditor general
We
tulisema
have the
hapa,
auditor general, and again, you know,
Tulisema
some
hapa.
of these things, some of these things to happen, okay. Ulisema hakuna meno.
Eh.
Okay, some of these things.
Ideal situation, yes. Some of these things. Tell me.
Yeah,
Tell me, please.
some of these things. If Kenyans right now, like I was saying, we really need to adopt a new approach to making the government accountable, and also for pushing these reforms. Sawa. So the reforms that we are talking about, first of all, for you to reform the issue of the debt of the country, you need to start somewhere. We want to understand where we have come from. Tuko na hizi madeni yenye tumekuwa tunalipa saizi. Actually, as you hear, we pay almost the biggest percentage of our revenue as a country to pay debt. So first of all, going back through the reforms zenye tunasema, kwanza public participation, making public participation not just a practice, I mean not just not cosmetic like we were saying hapa, ile like ikuwe ni kitu real, si kitu yenye tumeweka tu pale hivi ni tumepamba hapa kwa macho, ikuwe ni something that is working. Kenyans will participate to push, tuseme kwamba we want this done na ifanyike. First of all, we will be able to understand where the problem is. This is a debt we are paying. We are paying because this money went to here and here and here. And we can see the effect. We can feel the impact in our country. Sawa. Then from there now, this will form a basis of any future borrowing for the country. Because we have known. Kama ni hii pesa iliingia hapa, we can feel it. Kama there is any, because of course, kama pesa zilikuliwa, zishakuliwa. Of course, we are going to hold the people involved accountable. Yes. But again, it will inform our future borrowing as a country. Because right now, mtakuwa tu wanatoka tu wanaenda wanakopa. But if we know where we failed, like we borrowed this money, this is what it did. These are the shortcomings of these funds that were borrowed. Hapa ndo tulikose. At least we will know the way forward. Like in future tunataka kukopa, we know we need to avoid this, we need to do this, we need to stick to this and this and this.
You're a Christian, right?
Yes.
You remember when Jesus died?
Yes.
What did he do?
See, he died and he rose again according to
After
the Bible.
3 days, right?
Yes.
It is said that he went to hell. Right?
He went to hell.
Yes, he went to hell. For those 3 days that he was dead. In case you didn't know.
Okay.
He went to hell.
Yeah.
When he went to hell, alienda kule kufungulia wale watu wote.
Wafungwa.
Wale wa kitambo wenye hawako wamemjua, hawako wamemwamini, hawako because it is said that the only way to heaven is through
Christ.
Through Christ. Now that's for Christians. Of course, I'm sure Waislamu wako na njia yao, Waindi wako na njia yao, but mimi naongelea wa Kristo hapa sawa. So the reason I've brought up that story is very simple. It is because if you want to deal with the past, my friend, you will literally have to descend into hell for you to deal with that particular situation.
Yes.
Sawa. And at this particular point, Kenyans do not have the energy or even the capability to go back into hell and deal with those situations. So what happens is we consider this like a New Testament kind of situation. We forget the past and we deal with the future. Now the future involves those of us who are alive today. So kidonda kinavuja damu sasa hivi. Let us stop the bleeding.
Okay, what I'm saying is
so once we stop the bleeding,
yes.
Once we stop the bleeding, we put a bandage and we start the healing process of this kidonda that we currently have. Because if we decide to get into the root cause of the kidonda, we might find that maybe ulikatwa na kisu, or you are speared, or you are shot, or you just fell. What we need to do right now is just first of all stop the bleeding. And we are bleeding because of our taxation. We are bleeding because of our corruption. We are bleeding because of our poverty. And we are bleeding because of our relations internationally. with the people that he actually mentioned here, the multilateral finance institutions. So we need to first of all take care of those situations, because if we say we do a tax audit, we are still bleeding.
Let me tell you, you know what? It is okay, it's sour. We are still bleeding.
Yes.
But still,
Stop the bleeding
there
first.
is some bleeding that is not going to stop, because pengine still kuna particles that are still inside that wound. You have to remove those particles for you to be able now to bandage that wound. Sour.
But-
so what I am basically talking about is because
stop any medical professional will tell you the first thing you do when you get to an accident scene is first take care of those ones who are alive.
Yes.
All right, then when you ukishapata wenye, of course, when you wako alive ni kumaanisha wameumia, stop the bleeding. Yes, so that now you can collect the dead, take them to the mortuary. Even an ambulance, when it gets to an accident scene, it doesn't carry dead bodies. An ambulance carries people who can be saved.
Mbuvi, there is no way you're going to bandage that wound without removing. There are some things you must remove. So what I'm insisting on
is removing those particles.
Remove those particles. You want to bandage that wound with glasses inside there, glass particles inside there. You are not going to make it. Actually, utamuongezea mashida. The wound will start rotting.
Unajua, sometimes even when there is that particular particle inside the wound, it might be the difference between life and death, because maybe it is stopping some kind of further damage.
That removable.
Unaweza toa kile kisu, damu ivuje zaidi.
Okay, that can be preserved, wacha zikuwe preserved, but those which can be removed. In this case, saying that we need that audit, we have a whole department, we have a whole body that is charged, that is mandated to do that responsibility. Sawa. So them, when they are auditing, actually we are not actually majorly auditing sana, maybe because we are specifically targeting some family. No. We are looking at it from the perspective that you had how much you pay in terms of interest.
1 trillion.
How much we paying in terms of interest?
1
That's
trillion.
quite a lot of money. Sawa. And sometimes, when you understand this debt, there's something ameongea inaitwa debt restructuring. There is a way, kuna arrangements that you can make with these people you've borrowed money from. But how will you get to these arrangements without understanding your contract kwanza? How was this borrowing? So that is why I'm saying we need first of all to get mpaka pale mwisho. Tuna understand, well, hii ni deni, ilikopwa, these were the terms, sawa. This is what it was supposed to do. And now from there people can be able to establish, okay, sawa, tumefikia hapa. We are paying a lot in terms of interest, mbuvi bana, a whole trillion. That's a lot of money. In a country whereby the only amount allocated to issues of education is 700 billion against 1 trillion which is meant for interest. Unajua pesa ya interest hiyo imeenda, that is an expense to the country. Si pesa yenye utasema itarudi, that is an expense. Is it worth it? Because you realize we incur interest zenye they are not worth it for the country. Unaweza pata kwamba if you do the restructuring, pengine the impact inakuwa kidogo compared to kama mnaendelea tu mko tu hapo blindly paying. You're just paying, honoring the debt, uko tu hapo as a country. Yet if people sit down, rethink, because even the organizations that are giving us those funds, they do understand the economy. Sawa.
Them, they're in business. That was what
they're in business. Yes, I do understand they're in business. But where are you going to take us as a country?
Actually, they're very happy when you're unable to pay that loan.
Let me ask you, where will you take us as a country? Tumekuambia kwamba first of all, even our own families, our citizens are going without food. So we have to restructure this, because as we stand right now, as a country, we are not doing good. So tukisema kwamba we commit, we are going to be paying you this much, inakuwa like it will affect other operations in our country. Right. So kuna tu vitu watu wanaweza kuongea. So starting from there, by the way, and again, as I said, it will form a basis of future borrowing. When people want to go just to borrow, somebody will not just go out and borrow. Like kuna kitu amesema hapa, somebody will just go borrow because anajua, you putting the country as a collateral. You're putting the whole country as a collateral. So it is easy for you to be given money. So given that money, you come to the country. Umesema hii pesa wacha kwanza nicheze nayo kidogo. Umeenda umeweka kwa forex, umeenda umeifanyia biashara. Then after that, ndo unakuja unaregesha. Unaona? There's that delay. So ukikuja kuregesha ile pesa, you realize hii time yenye hii pesa umekuwa ukitumia for your own benefit, for your own business, as a country, kuna impact iko nayo. So unapata kama inchi tunafika pale. So kuna tu practices mingi sana. If they are well checked as a country, unaweza pata tunapata nafuu.
Yep.
But at this rate, bro, at this rate, hatujui tunaelekea wapi.
That's why we're asking today, is Kenya on the edge? Yeah? Is Kenya on the edge? That's the question we're asking as far as this hour is concerned, because we do know that a lot needs to be handled. Number one, there's unrest in the country. Let's just be honest about it. People are jittering, and they're jittery because number one, they feel like they're drowning, their voices are unheard, or they're not being heard. They are feeling that like their efforts also not being appreciated in terms of just ensuring that everyone plays their part in taking this country forward. So what's your part, by the way, as an individual? If you're listening to me right now, ask yourself, what is my part in ensuring that this country is headed in the right direction? Number one, are you playing your civic duty, and are you playing it well? You know, are you participating in the laws of this country, whether it's public participation, you know, as far as legislation is concerned? Are you also playing your part in looking for the right leadership? Are you offering yourself for leadership? And when we say offering yourself, we don't mean offering yourself in a selfish manner. No, we mean like in a legit way. So questions we're going to be answering in a short while. Right now, though, let's get into the traffic. What's happening on the roads of Nairobi? It is now 30 minutes past 8 o'clock. And I can tell you, without fear or favor, kama uko sehemu za Panari, initially I told you that there's traffic there, but right now it's looking mko sawa sawa, hamna stress yote. There is also this other area, ukitoka pande gani, hapa kuna barabara inajiita Road C. Looks like there's a little bit of traffic there. This is Enterprise Road. As you're joining Mombasa Road, a little bit of traffic there. Nyinyi ndio mnaleta shida pale, but ukishapita hapo kielekea ukitoka GM and you get into Imara Daima and beyond, things are looking good. But that's if you're heading towards Mlolongo. What of the guys coming from Mlolongo? Munasema namna gani? Hamna shida yote. A little bit of traffic at the Cabanas Overpass Bridge, but that's expected. And this is for folks coming from Embakasi who are intending to join Mombasa Road and go past beyond Old Mombasa Road. Hapo ndio kuna kashida kiasi tu. But there's a huge red line on Outer Ring Road. Kiangase. So this is all the way from Tasia Prime Stage, coming all the way to join Airport North Road. The traffic there is, for lack of a better word, mad. Also, Airport North Road, traffic is stretching all the way from Kenya Airways. That is in Embakasi, kule kutoka kule sehemu za airport kupita just after hiyo barabara kuingia Utawala. Hapo traffic imeshikamana vibaya tena sana, hamsongi hata kidogo.
Thika Road kuanzia Ruaraka, Mathare Road at that junction kuingia mpaka town, all through, by the way, a lot of traffic all through mpaka Pangani. We are seeing a lot of traffic again. Mutaiga Road, Mutaiga pia naona there is a lot of traffic. The road joining Mutaiga there is a lot of traffic also. Ukirudi upande wa Kamukunji, yeah, there is a lot of traffic. There is that roundabout there, Kariako, a lot of traffic. Ukienda upande wa you have not talked of Nairobi Expressway, as you head towards town, that is kutoka Nyayo Stadium, kuingia town, there is also traffic. You look at Gong Road, especially as you get towards town, also traffic. As you join Valley Road, there is a lot of traffic there. Most of the roads actually, they are full of traffic. Landis Road, a lot of traffic all the way from City Stadium roundabout. There is a lot of traffic there all the way to Mombasa, kuanzia VOK mpaka Light Kengeleni pale kuna a lot of traffic. The rest of the roads are quite clear.
All right, so let's check what happens in the next 1 hour. I'm sure things will have taken a turn for the best.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
All right, it's now 33 minutes past 8 o'clock, 27 to the top of the hour. In studio, we do have a very good friend of mine. He's actually the only party leader in the entire country of Kenya who has ever wished me happy birthday. 3 years in a row, consecutively, without failing. He does that on Facebook, he does that on WhatsApp as well. So,
all over.
Ile siku atakuwa rais wa hii nchi, ama akue governor mahali, ama akue senator bana, mheshimiwa usinisahau. Anyway, I am talking about none other than Arnold Maliba. Arnold, good morning.
Morning to you.
You're the party leader for Progressive Plus Alliance.
It's Progress Plus.
Oh, Progress Plus.
Yeah.
Sawa sawa. Karibu sana to Radio Generation.
Asante sana.
Yeah. The last time I checked, you were a bit vying for something. I don't know, your direction ilifika mahali ukachoka ama barabara ilifika mahali ikakuwa ni ngumu?
I was actually running for Dagoretti North MP in 2022.
Right.
Lakini kura zikutosha. Yeah, so I don't want to be the typical politician.
Yes.
There's always an explanation on why somebody has lost. Normally it always blames the opponent.
Right.
Kura ziliibiwa na hizo vitu zingine. But I don't think that at that particular point I did sufficient campaign.
All right.
I actually had come from Mogadishu.
At the time?
Yes, I had been working in Mogadishu. Then I came late, and then the party that I was supposed to work on taught me a little fear of God.
Yes.
And then I had to find ways of aligning.
Yeah.
But I'm good.
Yes.
We are at Progress Plus, planning how to upload for 2027.
Yes.
And I'm here to have a conversation. I'm slightly late because I was coming out of town.
No problem.
I don't look like myself ordinarily. So I have not gotten home yet.
You have not gotten home yet?
Yes. I was traveling overnight, so I came directly.
Tutakurelease vizuri hapa, utapatiwa kahawa kama hujapewa. Na I'm sure utakuwa sawa sawa.
Ingawa daktari alisema nikulage kuku saa kasa hii.
Okay.
Sawa.
By the way, he has said that when he vied for that position, the votes were not enough.
Yes.
He said he doesn't want to be like the other politicians who keep on saying that niliibiwa, kulifanyika sijui nini.
Right.
And again, the other day we were discussing here with another guest, and we said that most of the time, not these other seats, the only seat that usually has a lot of problem is the presidential seat.
No.
Somebody was just telling
at
us
national
here that
level,
at national level, yes.
At national level, of course, the presidential seats, because there's so much hope, the hopes of a nation.
Right.
People actually delegate literally everything. When we go to an election, it looks like we are going to a presidential election and not the 6 ballots that we cast. But if you look at how, if you were to compare the 6 votes that we cast,
yes,
the most problematic one is actually the MP because of CDF.
Yes.
People have got about $500 million for the time of, it's almost close to $1 billion shillings.
Yes.
If you are to factor in other monies like their RMLF. So getting 150 to 180 million shillings per year.
Right.
Then you have got control and access to the road maintenance, levy fund, and whatever, everything else. You find that there's good money around there. So one thing that makes the MP seat quite competitive is that the control of that money.
Right.
But unfortunately, that money is what actually kills the real function of a member of parliament.
Okay.
Because members of parliament are supposed to be watchmen, but now they've become very good CDF managers. So we have got a parliament that is full of CDF managers and 0 MPs.
All right.
So the function of legislation is totally dead. Every day you are seeing courts throwing out laws made in parliament. Oversight is dead because the people who are supposed to be doing oversight are also doing some executive work, and therefore how do you catch them? You just ensure that you compromise them during execution, and therefore you can't audit yourself.
Of course you can't.
If you had planned to spend this money and somehow you got creative along the way, you will always explain to yourself. That is why somebody else has to audit you.
Yes.
But now imagine parliament is the oversight body. It's supposed to be auditing. In fact, parliament is not complete. The Auditor General's office is actually an appendage of parliament. Structurally, if you are to look at it from an organogram.
Yeah. And control of budget?
Control of budget is actually on the executive side.
Okay.
But then Auditor General, because you cannot do oversight without the office of the Auditor General. So if you are to draw an organogram function, then the Auditor General should be an appendage of Parliament, because Parliament can't do oversight without the Auditor General.
Okay.
But then, now these guys are spending money Have you ever seen anybody jailed for misusing CDF?
No, not a single one.
No one has. Because the same people who should actually be doing oversight are the people who are spending it and managing it. Of course, over time, they have worked around the act, and when they come here, they'll actually tell you the MP is only a patron. He has no role in this thing. There's a way, but you see, that is de jure. But de facto, the MP controls it. That is why when an MP dies, you actually, the new MP who comes in comes up with his own
budget.
No, committee.
Okay.
So if he doesn't control it, why is it that his death then changes?
Okay.
The committee that comes in.
So what's your opinion on NGCDF?
It should die.
Okay.
For us to actually bring back Parliament, NGCDF must die. Otherwise, Parliament is dead. And a lot of us are chasing the 100 million shillings, the bursaries we get from the MP, and we forget that we are losing trillions. We lose much more money because MPs have been made to become busy with NGCDF. They do not look at the bigger money. And in this country, corruption is procurement based. So a lot of money is lost. But then because the people who should be watching over that money have been given a little bit of chicken change, they are busy with it. That is what CDF is. So CDF was actually a pilot project for us as a nation on decentralizing and devolution. Now we have got a fully devolved system.
Yes.
There's a third layer of government that the devolved governments have not allowed. Like the municipalities, the town management, and the others. If you look at the Urban Areas and Cities Act,
yes,
it provides a third layer of government. But county governments are not allowing that.
Wait a minute.
There should be actually a third layer of government.
Rewind a little. So you're telling me that, because I thought when now we got into counties and then we had Mombasa County, because the last time I checked, before devolution, Mombasa was a municipality before it became a city, and other municipalities, Nakuru and so on and so forth. But now you're telling me that those things are actually there.
Yes, that's the third layer. We just didn't bring in devolution. We also brought in decentralization.
Yes.
Completely. So counties are supposed to further take the power and the management of resources down through other units, through the Urban Areas and Cities Act. You can look at that. But then look at the municipalities, the municipals that counties are creating.
Right.
Very weak, no resources, not much. But there is a third layer of government that if, like what Sakaja was trying to create, coming up with boroughs and stuff, there's already a structure for that. But the devolved units are not yet ready to let go of that. So they are still controlling that. But over time, I think once devolution gets properly soaked into us, then we can actually go to the third layer. We don't have just to, people talk about the national level.
Yes.
And
the
then
county.
the